is Audrey, the CEO and founder to one of Japan's top fandom-related e-commerce sites, Aitai. And joining us today is the incredibly talented John Bentley, most notably known for his recent role as Barret in the Final Fantasy VII series.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks, Harada, for doing this. And
No
chat.
worries, no worries.
Hope everyone enjoys our first episode of Aitai Chat. Thanks,
Hey,
guys, for tuning
better.
in.
Man, we've been working on this. We put this together for y'all. Not for us.
But yeah, so Chad, if you have any questions, feel free to type them out, and we'll be sure to address them and everything. But before we start off, actually, Audrey, would you like to tell all the new viewers and everything about yourself?
Oh, sure. So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining our first episode of Aitai Chat. My name is Audrey. I am the CEO and founder of Aitai Japan, the company that owns the e-commerce website aitaikuji.com. We are a team of 17 people located in Tokyo, and we pretty much sell anime and video game merchandise exclusive to Japan to people all around the world through our online store, aitaikuji.com. And I am also personally a huge fan of the Final Fantasy series, as well as other Square Enix related titles as well. And I frequently blog and translate various news and information for fandoms that I follow closely. So if you guys know me from Twitter, yeah, I do a lot of like news and translations for fun. So yeah, nice to meet everyone if you guys are new.
That's just cool. That's just cool. You do so much, and I'm glad you got to share that with everybody because I didn't even know the face behind Aitaikuji until Alex Main introduced me to you, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that little picture of the little girl who's holding that's Audrey. And I found out that Audrey is not a little girl who's a spokesperson model. She is the CEO, which I think is outstanding. I'm taking these off because they just broke. But I'm just like blown out of the water. Can I interview you? Can I ask you questions? Is that cool?
No. I mean, you're the star, but sure.
No, I'm not the star. I'm just a dude. I got questions. I got stuff because when we met, I didn't get to ask you all the questions that I wanted to ask.
Right.
We just shared our love for anime. We shared our love for Aitaikuji. We shared our love for products. And so, and we met Chris, and, just so you notice, Harada. I always call him Chris because it's Chris, CH, Harada. Audrey says it better than me. You have me saying Harada.
Right.
Harada. Anyway, I got questions.
You're learning Japanese, so there you go.
Yeah, I'm learning.
Nice. Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna figure this out.
If you do have any questions, feel free to ask me.
She's blushing. Okay, here's a question. How hard was it for you to start the company overseas?
Oh, okay. So, I guess I can give you a brief rundown of like Aitai Kuji in general. So, we established in 2016, 5 years ago. And at that time, I was already in Japan for about 3 years. I was working for a company, which was also a startup company at that time, for doing basically all of their marketing. I was like their marketing manager, and I was also running a blog and doing kind of like what I do right now, translating stuff.
Wait a minute, all in Tokyo? You're doing that all in
Tokyo? Yeah,
because you had just left California.
I left California to go to Tokyo in 2013, and then I was hired directly from that company from LA. I'm originally from Los Angeles, and so I went from LA to Tokyo to work as a marketing manager for this startup company. And then during that time, I was already blogging and doing pretty much what I'm doing right now, which is like translating stuff and translating news of different fandoms that I follow. So then when I was doing that, someone asked me like, oh, I'm interested in this like a Kuji game, and I was like, Kuji, what's Kuji? So I kind of looked it up, and in Japan we have this thing called Kuji, where you pretty much go to any convenience store or a game center or a hobby store to buy tickets, and you don't know what the tickets like what's written inside the ticket. So you buy the ticket, and then let's say you play 5 times. So you buy 5 tickets, and you open up the ticket to show what prize you won. So that's what Kuji is. Yeah, some people asked me to start selling those Kuji things, so I did that, and then Eventually it kind of picked up where I couldn't do my full-time marketing managing
Wow.
job anymore. So then I created and established a company. It took about 6 months to get everything established. This was in 2015, and then we officially incorporated in 2016 in April. And then
Cool.
since it's April now, we're in our sixth fiscal year. We like I mentioned earlier, we have a team of 17 people, and we are a very very multicultural like working I guess like community, or like in our office we are comprised of people from like the UK, France, Switzerland, Germany,
Wow.
Austria, as well as Southeast Asia, Japan,
Wow.
America, of course, and yeah, we've had so much staff from all around the world. So I think we are kind of different than other Japanese companies, such that we have a majority of foreigners as our workers instead of
Hmm.
Japanese people as the majority. So it kind of gives a different perspective, I think, in the industry.
That's a huge deal, especially in this day and age. Audrey, thanks for sharing that because
Oh, no problem.
that's every time I talk to you about different things, I get more and more fascinated, and you
Oh,
make me want
thanks.
to ask more questions. Like, here's a question, and I bet you somebody else wants to know this. If
Okay.
you go to especially the folks in the States, so like if
Mm-hmm.
we go to a 7-Eleven or a liquor store or a grocery store and we
Mm-hmm.
get lottery tickets, it's
Mm-hmm.
not the same as the Kuji, but they
Mm-hmm.
do have these things called scratch offs. Is
Mm-hmm.
that like Kuji? Or
Yeah, yeah.
and are you guaranteed to win every time you open it up?
Right. So, for Kuji, yeah, you are guaranteed a prize, and so you usually pay about, on average, like I would say 800 yen or so, for
Which
one
is
ticket,
equivalent to what?
like eight
Here.
dollars.
Okay.
Yeah, around $8 or so. Sometimes it could be 1,000 yen. It depends on the type of Kuji game, which is 1,000 yen is $10. So you are guaranteed a prize. So usually the base prize, which is like the most basic level prize, is worth $10 at least. So
Cool.
you'll still get a
Cool.
good, you'll still get your money's worth. But the appeal of the Kuji is that the rare prizes in each set comes with like maybe two or three really really great items, so you have a chance to
Mm.
win those great items. And within a set usually there are like 60 to 80 prizes. So out of 80 prizes, let's say there's five great items, so you have a 5 out of 80 chance to get a
That's
rare
cool.
prize. Yeah, so but you're always guaranteed a prize though, but it is kind of
Does it
similar.
change daily? Like the prize change daily or weekly or
No, it's
like the
set.
big prize?
No, it's
Okay.
set. Yeah.
Okay.
So the prizes usually like show on when you buy it, you see like, okay, there's like a plush, there's a figurine, there's like towels and keychains. And so
Wow.
at the convenience store or wherever you are, they even have like whoever like pulls the prizes, they put the staff puts the ticket on the like a bulletin board thing, so you can see
Oh, that's
which
funny.
prizes have been won and so forth.
All right, look, when I come visit, you're taking me to the Coogee store. We're gonna
Sure.
like do some Coogee pull tabs and we're gonna
Sure.
figure out what we win. As long as
Yeah.
they just put the ticket up, not the picture, because you have me like, you know.
Right, right. So yeah, for our website, when I first started out, I had one of my friends pretty much recreate the Kuji simulation into our website, so people
That's
can
really
actually
cool.
play the Kuji on our website, which really yeah, like is, I guess, kind of different from apart from other places. Yeah,
Whole different
because
standard.
yeah, you we basically like re-emulated the experience that you get at the convenience store or at the hobby store, where you buy tickets online, and then after you check out, our system shows you which prizes you won. And we
That's just
always
cool.
yeah, we always stock like one set at a time, so it's fair within the set. Like everyone has a chance to win, like the rare prize or so forth. And then when we run out of the set, we add another set and so forth.
That's just cool. I didn't. So everybody now knows Aitai Kuji is on it. That's just cool. I really love it. Let me ask you another question because, as we all know, 2020 was a beast of a year for so many of us.
Right, right.
Um, did the pandemic affect you um and the company, or did it affect how did it hit you? Like, was it a financial thing? Was it not? Was it
Hmm.
trying to get out orders? Was it not? Did it affect you in a drastic way at all?
It was not really drastic way, but it definitely got us more like on top of things where we have to try to incorporate as many shipping methods as possible. So from
Mm,
April, I think it was around March, March or April, end of February actually. Pretty much around March till July, the Japan Post didn't move. So they didn't allow any packages to go outbound. So
wow.
during those 4 months, we were looking to, incorporate other kinds of shipping methods, which we had, but we just didn't really like. We weren't really like kind of thinking like, oh yeah, we should do it now, but at that time it was like we have to do it. So the good thing was that we already had contracts with like FedEx, DHL, and like
Cool.
other shipping couriers, and we just kind of talked to their salesperson who they knew us for a couple years already, and they're like, oh, so you finally want to do like the stuff with us, and we're like, yeah. And at that time, like fuel was very cheap last year because not many planes were going, flying abroad. So yeah,
Mhm.
we're still able to get a lot of packages out, which was, yeah, we're very thankful for. But there are still some countries that have restrictions for certain types of shipping methods, and
Even now?
FedEx, yeah, even now, yeah, and FedEx and
Oh,
DHL doesn't ship to like PO box addresses, as well as
all right.
certain like remote areas. So all of those customers' packages are still held in our warehouse, and we are just waiting until either side lifts some kind of restriction.
So everybody who is waiting on Aidaikuchi merchandise, it's coming. It's all good. It's coming. Just deal with us a little longer. Like I work at
Yeah.
the company. But I'm just saying, I do
Thank
have
you,
to,
John.
I have to, if I had a hat on, I'd tip it, but I do have to tip my hat. I'm fascinated, overwhelmingly just full of joy that a woman runs Aidaikuchi, left here in California, one of the biggest influential, I guess, cities in the United States that affects so many people just from Hollywood alone and products. And then you were like, no, I'm going to take this business that I have and I'm going to do this. And then you did this and then you did this and then you were like, wait a minute, I can start my own, especially this day and age when we don't hear enough about people who are CEOs who are female or who are multicultural or different races. And I just want to bring that to attention because I think it's just great. I think it's great, and I think it needs to be noted. And I'm just proud of you. I know we've only talked a few times, and I've never
No,
said
no.
that to you, but
Thank
I
you,
am,
John.
and that's a big deal. It's a big deal to me, and it's especially in this day and age.
Oh,
Need
thank
I
you
say
so much.
more?
Oh, I
But
mean, for
you
me,
just rock it.
oh no, I mean for me, I don't really think about that. I
I
don't
know you
really.
don't. That's why I'm telling you.
Yeah, I don't really like think like, oh, I'm a female in the anime video game merchandise industry, and I never really like put much weight to that. But there was one time that was quite funny where we were interviewed by a government agency to for if you have a company in Japan, you have to join a thing like it's called Teikoku Data Bank. So
Yeah,
it's
all
like
y'all try to say that fast.
so Teikoku Data Bank is like a directory of different companies in Japan, just so that
Mhm.
the government has like tabs on you or whatever. And then they asked me, they're like, so they're interviewing me and my other full time employee who's Japanese, who's male. And then so they're like, so who's the owner? And I was like, me. And then the guy was like, and how old are you? And I was like, at that time I was like 28 or something. I'm like, I'm 28. And then he's like, and you're American? And I was like, yeah, I'm from the US. And he's like, so you're female, you're American, and you're under 30. Like, I don't think
Mm.
you that type of like person kind of exists in this industry, owning a
Wow.
company, that large, at that time. And I was like, oh, I mean, I never really thought about it, but the guy was like blown away. He was like, oh my god. And I was like, I mean, it's whatever.
It's huge. And sometimes you need to just take that into consideration. I know you're like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm moving forward and I
Hmm.
have my employees and I have the company. And so you
Hmm.
don't think about stuff like that. But when
No.
you stop sometimes just to go, wow, and it's not even about bragging rights or patting yourself on the shoulder, but I'm here to do that for you because it's a huge, I'm serious, it's a huge deal. And we already know in our industry with anime, it's not, I mean, back in the day when I grew up and was watching anime, it was very derogatory towards a lot of females. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
it it hasn't changed that much,
Mm-hmm.
especially for the drawn and manga and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just cool to see someone who is as sweet as you and is just well spoken as you and organized as you
Oh, no.
run a company. Run a company like this and have a dream, go after it and do it. And that's a big deal to me. I always love to see people achieve.
Oh,
And that's
thank
just
you.
it's a big thing. And I know you won't brag on you, but I will, and I'm sure Hadid I will too. So
No,
Oh
no,
yeah,
I'm doing it.
it really
for
doesn't.
sure.
Yeah, for me, it's more like, I have all of these staff, and we're all working together. I don't think that like we can get to this point where we are with just me alone. It's everyone's effort that brought us to where we are right now, and
Oh
bring
yeah,
us to where
I'm
we
not
go
knocking that,
beyond.
Audrey. I'm not knocking that at all. But they all had to have a dream. They all had to have a game plan. They all
Right,
had to have it embedded in them. Hey, what are we doing? What are our goals? What are we going for? And I
right.
applaud you for being able to do that, communicate it to them, and do the company and have your thing. This is a matter of fact, we need to thank some people, just like you're saying you have employees. We have people, Claudia and Bass are running things right now.
Oh
Yep.
yeah,
And I
in the
just got to
chat.
tip my
Thank you
hat to
guys.
y'all too. Yeah, you guys are like handling it. When I found out what they were doing for us and I didn't have to push buttons, look at the scroll or any of that stuff, I'm like, who are Claudia and Bass? We need to get them some Aitai Kuji gear. Something, a hat, a sweatshirt. Come on now. Come on. I'm serious,
Yeah, no,
Audrey. You better get them some
they're in
Aitai
chat.
gear, something.
Oh, actually, yeah, I'll send some stuff to Bass for sure.
Because when I meet them, they getting autographs and all that kind of stuff when I
Oh,
see them.
that would be
So
awesome.
I want to thank
Oh
them.
my gosh.
Yeah, so speaking of that, tell me about the products that you sell. Because
Okay.
I know what I saw online, but tell me about it. Tell
Okay.
them, tell everybody about it.
Products that we sell. So yeah, we focus a lot on anime and video game merchandise, that's exclusive to Japan, and also we do, of course, the Kuji, where we have a Kuji simulation, and we also take a lot of requests from people who want us to help them proxy some items in Japan. So yeah, we sell like pretty much any kind of item from figurines to apparel to makeup, sometimes some
Cool.
food, keychains and
Food.
stationery. Yeah, food. I think recently we were selling like some instant ramen that was like character themed or something. So yeah, tons of different types
That,
of products.
is it that stuff that they did for Final Fantasy VII, like the ham and leeks for Barret?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
is
but
that
not for
oh,
FF7.
that's crazy. Okay, because I saw that in London and I was like, no, get out of here. And they're like, gave me ham and leeks for Barrett. I'm like, ham and leeks? Who eats ham and leeks? And then everybody got on my butt and they're like, hey, stop. That's the best flavor. And you need to stop talking about it because ham and leeks is good. Like,
Oh my
okay, my
god.
bad. I'll try it. Try it next time I get to London. I'll try it. I guess I got boxes waiting for me when I get there.
I love ham and leeks.
You do too?
Yeah, I
How
know what it
about you,
is.
Hadida?
Yeah, I do actually as well.
You
That's why I was
do?
laughing. I was laughing. Yeah.
It's
So I
a
was just like,
thing here. It's a thing here in the U.S.
No, I don't think
well, my brother
so.
and I also enjoy it. So, but yeah.
Oh my, I got it. I can't wait till I go back to London. I'm gonna try this ham and leeks thing.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah. It's like
videotape
a
it too, so
staple. It's a
everybody and their mama
staple.
can laugh at me for tripping on it.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have many different types of products. If you guys go to aitaikuji.com, you can see we have like Final Fantasy, shonen, different Shonen Jump series, and also like original series, and tons of different series. I don't even know how many. Like I think right now we have about like 60,000 or different products or something in
Wow.
our catalog. So that means that we have had 60,000 different types of items.
Not
But
including the
yeah,
Kuji?
including the Kuji. So I mean,
Okay.
the database counts like each item, each character as one individual
That's really
item.
cool.
But yeah, it's
Really
pretty
cool.
crazy. But yeah, I think for me, like the most important thing when hiring staff, like you mentioned just now, John, that we have people who help us, grow. I think the most important thing is that everyone kind of is on the same page, and we're
Hmm.
like, kind of see where we want to go from here on out, and also really believe in the message and the foundation of the company, I think. So yeah, like the other day, actually, since it's April now, I had two staff leave because they have to either go back to their home country, or they're going to college, or not college, but going to their next step, like master's degree or whatever.
Okay.
And what was like, I guess for me as a boss or whatever, I don't really like that word, but like, as a leader, what was really
CEO.
I don't really use it much, but yeah, as a leader, what's really important is every time that like my staff leave, they tell me, like, genuinely, they pull me aside and they're like, Audrey, I really had a good time. I
Mm.
really had a good time at your company, and like for me, that is the most rewarding. That we were able to create a a community within the company, like a work culture that people really enjoy being in and really believe
Mhm.
in. And I
Mhm.
think that kind of helps, motivate each other, like staff motivate each other and help us work, as we like iron out any like stuff that we have to um fix, and just try to move forward. So yeah, it was really sweet. The like every time people leave, they're always like, wow, thank you so much for the opportunity. I never would have like thought that I could work in Japan, not speaking Japanese either. I could just work in my in English,
Wow.
and not teach English. And I guess for us, that's really flattering.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. That's huge. So how did you just heard that, right?
Yeah.
There's two job openings. We we need to get over to Japan, man. We need
Before this go, yep, I'll just drop my where I just got
we need to
my name
start.
drop right
We
there.
need to call Audrey, our CEO. Hey, can we work? You got a job? Hey,
I,
it's a long
Rich,
plane trip, but
I
sorry.
would love
Speaking of
to
which,
have you guys
just
come to Japan, and I would take you guys around for sure. When the pandemic is done, or when everyone gets their vaccines, definitely let me know if
right.
you guys have plan a trip here. But yeah, for us, like, and what's important is that, like, we also function as a like a middleman for people to connect people to Japan, to Japan's products, things that are only available in Japan, and so that if even if you're living in, even some places, even in some of our customers who live in Africa, and they purchase from us, and
So
like that's
cool.
really really important that we are able to be that middleman that extends our arms, or extends our hand to people living abroad, and
So
we
cool.
also try to do that, of course, at a very affordable price, because, like, as you can see, like, sometimes if you're looking for a rare product on eBay, it's like 3 to 4 times the price. But for us, we try to just get, like, a minimum, like, base price, and then make it as affordable as possible for our customers to
Mm.
access these items that are usually only available in Japan, like through a event or a cafe or something like that. So that's kind of like one of our goals as well, to make it a very affordable and easy way to shop for products in Japan.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely. And John, before we dive into you, there were a few questions, actually more like comments. One of which Blitz actually said, "John, I want to hire you to be my anger translator." So you also have another job besides also at Aitai Kuji. And then speaking of jobs, just Perfect Karis, he just asking me, I guess, saying like where I got my Final Fantasy posters and stuff. And
Yeah.
Just a little background history is I actually was employed. I used to work for Square Enix Japan actually, and was stationed primarily in the LA office, El Segundo office. So that's where I got all my stuff. Is that that's more of the marketing and all the props and stuff that I got to keep. I was on the Final Fantasy 15 team. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm currently a director in something else right now. But with that said, John, actually, besides being the voice for one of the most iconic characters in RPG history, not just JRPG, what other roles have you actually done, and how did you actually get into voice acting and all of that?
Um, you asked me questions. Okay, as far as the roles that I've done, if it's anime or video games and stuff like that, um, it's gonna sound weird to everybody, but I don't like bragging, or it feels like I'm bragging when I talk about it.
It's okay. We could be your
So
hype people.
yeah, I
Love you,
know, and it's
John.
like, and it's cool, but man, you can find it on IMDb. You could look up my name on IMDb, and you can see the work that I've done. Actually, the bottom of it, some of those aren't my credits. There's a white guy who's a playwright, a writer, a director, and a fabulous actor. His name is John Eric Bentley as well, and I think he's passed now. I'm not sure if he's alive or not, but his credits are on mine. And I wrote him and said, "Hey, man, it's not me," but they just kept him on there anyway. But I mean, there's stuff on there that he did. This movie that I watched when I was not supposed to be watching, called So Fine, and he was an actor in it, and it's about a pair of pants that went viral. And the reason they went viral is because the booty cheeks were like different shades of different colors, so it looked like people were walking around with their booties out of their jeans. That's not me. I didn't do that. I was a kid when that movie came out. So if you want to see what I've done and all that other stuff, just look it up. I don't like talking about stuff like that. But I will say, as far as starting, when I was a kid, my mom was a school teacher. My dad worked with his hands in a steel mill. My dad had like a seventh or eighth grade education, and he basically was like, "Yeah, you got to work hard with whatever you do." And I'm like, "All right, cool." And mom was the educator, so she taught me how to read at a very, very, very young age. I think I was 5, and then by the time I was 7 or 8, I had finished reading the Iliad, all the Greek and Roman mythology,
Mm.
just, all that
Seven and
she had me
eight.
reading. So
You're
yeah, I was
reading
about
the
8 or
Iliad
9.
at 7.
Yeah, yeah, because it
That
was
is
like,
insane.
this is what happened. Honestly, this is what happened. I had to go to school like 45 minutes away from where we lived, and my mom drove. So she would drop me off at school, which was about 5 or 6 blocks away from her school. And I'd be in the car, and she didn't know it then, but I couldn't see well. I needed glasses. And so I
Mm,
wouldn't look out of the window. I would be reading, I would look at stuff. I would, be reading comic books, honestly.
mm.
And so if there was something that came up, I'd be like, "Mom, what's this word? What does this mean?" What? And my mom got tired of me saying it, and she's like, "You need to look it up." And she's like, "You know how to read, look it up." So that's how
Mm,
I became so interested. It's like I looked up everything.
mm.
So I learned how to read at a very young age. So, all long story short, in kindergarten, we had to do a graduation ceremony, and everybody had skits and different little things like that. And my mom, they asked, "Hey, can anyone do the Dr. Martin Luther King speech?" And I was like, "I don't know what that means." And my mom said, "Oh, he can." And I'm like, "What? I don't even know what this is." And it's, the "I Have a Dream" speech. And she said, "Better yet, he'll memorize it for you and do it." And I'm going, "What? How are you volunteering me?" you know? And
Just
so
throwing
because
you
she taught me
like
how to
just do it.
read, yeah,
That's
so I'm like,
awesome.
"All right, cool." So I did it, and I memorized it with her, and she came to the ceremony, and I remember the first part, "I have a dream that one day," and then all of a sudden everybody in the audience kind of reacted like, "Oh my God, oh," and people were crying and
Mm.
cheering, and I was like, "Wow, words can make people go to emotion." Now granted, where my school was at that particular time was in the middle of where all the riots had taken place on the west side of Chicago. And
Um,
you could like when I would walk home from well, not home, when I would walk from school to her school, you could still see some of the buildings that had burn marks from when people just set things on fire. So that meant something to that particular area. I didn't know. I was 5 years old. I just got up
Mm-hmm.
and did the speech, but
Right.
it moved people and I liked how that felt. So that
Mm.
kind of got me into acting, period. And then of course I played sports. So at one point when you're playing sports, you can't do all that stuff.
Mm, right.
And then in high school I did duet acting, monologues, speeches, dramatic acting with a buddy of mine named Merkel Turner and
Mm.
Billy Horton, and we were just good at it, and we were winning all these awards. I'm like, cool. But then when I got to college, I got a scholarship to play football in college. You can't do that.
Mm.
You can't work. You're not
Right.
allowed to actually be on stage even,
Mm.
unless it's I guess university related. But even still, it had to clear through the NCAA. So I wasn't able to
Mm.
do anything for 5 years, and then after my fifth year of playing ball at my undergrad, I went on to get my master's. In my master's, I started working. It was a 3-year program. I started
Mm.
working. Um, and like I said, it started off with theater, but it also was a lot of voiceover work because I was doing narration and I
Mm.
would do industrial stuff. So I would have an ear prompter in, be listening to myself talk, and then saying what I was supposed to say. So
Mm.
that's how that all got started. Long story short, I would go to a club with my friends when I was too young. And instead of going to dance with everybody, like my friends were like, yo, I'm gonna go dance with that girl. I'm like, I'm gonna stay right up here on this balcony in Princess Club and look at people because they're pretty. And plus I was scared. I was like, if they card me, I'm getting kicked out forever. Right. So I would just, and I wouldn't drink. I would just stand up there and watch people. And I would see like a guy go up to a girl and I gave him voices. They're like,
Mm.
yo man, I'm about to go over and talk to this girl. Hey baby, what's up? What's up? What's up, man? You fine? And then I'll do the girl's voice. Who are you? If you ain't coming over here with a drink, you better. And so I would do all these voices, and people were laughing around me. I was like serious into the.
Oh
This
my
is what I think they
gosh.
would say. This is what
Yeah.
they would do. And I was cracking myself up, and then I went, wait a minute. And then somebody, my roommate, Keswick Joyner, was like, hey man, you can do that for a living, right? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You can do that for a living. It's called acting. I'm like,
Right.
okay, whatever. And so that trickled down into me doing voiceover work.
Wow. So
Long
like
story, but
no,
summed it
that's
up.
awesome. But you already had that like, ambition and that hobby to, do something like that to like kind of like make people, move people through words, right? Through voice.
Yeah. When I figured it out, it was like powerful, especially in my culture. It was a powerful thing. And I wanted
Mm,
to do it in a positive way and not a negative way.
right.
Because so many of us, especially where I grew up, we had seen so much pain and so much hurt
Mm,
and so many bad things. So I'm like, how can I do this and make people happy? How do I do this and make people smile? How do I bring joy?
right.
And it's kind of was instilled in me with my mom and my dad.
Right, right. Well, when you were deciding to like, get into voice acting on a professional level, were you kind of like thinking like, "Oh, I want to do acting or I want to do, voice acting?" Like, did you know exactly what you wanted to do?
I wanted to do acting. I mean, watching Sidney Poitier, Denzel
Mm, yeah,
Washington, Morgan Freeman, Danny Glover at the time, Samuel Jackson, like heroes to me.
yeah. Mm,
Um, there's a whole lot of heroes. Jack Nicholson. Um, there are a lot of people who I look up to that weren't just black, and you know, folks are like, "Well, you'll never be able to do that kind of role. You'll never be able to speak like that." I'm like, man, my mom taught me to read at 5, dude. And
yeah.
I can mimic anybody. I can imitate people. And I was very, I think the sports made me very confident, not cocky and not arrogant, but very confident. And
Mm-hmm.
so that kind of drove me into going, I want to be an actor.
Mm-hmm.
But then sports were like, well, we're not going to allow you to be an actor because you can't,
Mm,
uh, because of the time and the working out and everything else. So it drove me to do it, but I wanted to do acting on camera. And then I found out later you can do commercials, you can do television, and you can do film. There's so many branches to what we do. And I'll never forget when we were leaving Minneapolis to come out to California, someone said, well, what are you going to do? Because if you do commercials, they won't take you serious as a television actor. Or if you do television, they won't take you serious as a film actor. And I'm like, well, I went to school for all of it, so I'm going to do it all. And everybody laughed at me. I mean, seriously, I had like 3 people believed in me, you know, uh,
oh.
two of them being my parents. And
Oh.
so, And I was like, what? And my wife, she was like, hey, do it all. And so
Oh yeah.
I just said, hey, if I can do it all, why not do it all?
Yeah, I mean
And that's
like
kind of how I
oh sorry.
got into it. No, no, you're good.
No, I was just saying that no, I mean, that's awesome. Like I know that, voice acting there's a huge range, right? There's not just like anime video games, but there's also like, commercials or actual, documentary narration. And I used to actually work in documentary film in Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
back in the day. So like, yeah, we would also have people help voice over various things as well. So I kind of I do have like
Mm-hmm.
a basic knowledge of that, but specifically though, like when you went into voice acting, were you like, oh, I want to do this type of voice acting, or do I want to do like animation? I want to do video games. Like, did you have a like a clear cut goal?
I wanted to work.
You just wanna-
Bottom line, I wanted to work. So no
right, right,
matter
of
what
course.
someone threw at me, I was like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it well. As a matter of fact, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to do it better than well so that I can win that casting director or that director or that producer as a fan so they can hire me for the next job that they get so that I can have another job ready to go. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that was a Chicago, the Midwest drive in me. I wanted to work, so it didn't matter. Like today, I laughed. My son came to me the other day and said, hey, Dad, my friend heard you in this video game. I said, cool, cool. He said, but his mom heard you doing transcribing on Netflix. And I'm like, oh, okay, what show? He was like, wait, Dad, you were on Netflix? I'm like, yeah, and a few things, son, but what show? And so we were talking about like Black Lightning. If you do the audio for Black Lightning, I'm transcribing for the blind because the blind can't
Mm-hmm.
see the scene, but they
Mm-hmm.
need to hear the character description. They need to hear
Mm-hmm.
the description. So we were
Wow.
doing transcribing for that. And so we've done it for different shows. And I said, well, what show did your mom, was his mom watching? And he said, oh, well, it was a cooking show that was based out of somewhere over in the east. I can't remember. It was a cooking show.
Mm-hmm.
Hunanese. It was a Hunanese cooking show. And I was like, what was she watching that for? She said, oh, because she's from over there. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So she said, you pronounce a few names wrong. I'm like, my bad. So she did she enjoy the show? He said, yeah, she enjoyed the show, except for when you pronounce the names wrong. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. But
Oh.
so it's like whatever you can do on a real tip, Audrey. It's kind of like with your products,
Mm.
whatever product comes in, let me figure out what it is. Let me know a little bit about it. Is that a hot seller? What is it about? Where does it derive from? Where did it come from? You got to know what you're selling, right? So I'm
Right,
like,
right, right.
let me try to know everything. Once again, it goes back to mom teaching me how to read,
Mm.
and try to do everything that I possibly can and not just be
Mm-mm.
put in a box by producers and
Mm.
directors and the audience, not just say, oh,
Mm.
here's a big black man. He's 6'4". This is how he sounds. And it's like, well, let me do more than just that. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
So,
right. Yeah. Well, that's
like
I
I said,
mean,
it's
that's
about work.
no, I mean that's very very like like commendable to not just like be on the surface, like know your character or what you're doing on a surface level, but really dive deep into your character, or dive deep into the background of what you're voicing for. And that's I think that's fantastic. That's truly amazing. um
That's the acting part of it. You know what I mean? I think
right.
we have a lot of people that, um, a lot of people want celebrities to do voiceovers,
Hmm.
and I'm not knocking celebrities who do voiceovers, but
Hmm.
how much are you invested in the character that you're voicing over is what I would ask anyone before they went into a job.
Hmm.
Are you vested in the character? Do you know much about the character, or are you bringing you to the character? And that's cool,
Right.
but for a character like Barrett,
Hmm.
I remember when we first started, people had all these negative connotations. He sounds like this and he's this. And I heard it was a white guy who was doing all these
Hmm.
crazy things. And I'm like, well, you just watched the trailer. You
Hmm.
just watched the trailer. You just watched the movement that was already mocapped in another country that I have to do a voice to make it make sense to why he's moving that big or whatever it is, you
Hmm.
know, as opposed to me doing the mocap and knowing how I would sound or do it. I have to go, okay, here's the product. Here's the mocap of the character. That's how they're moving. here is the Japanese voice of the character. That's how they're saying it. And here is me who've got to take this, and bring it here and put me in it. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying?
So
So it's kind of like you got to do that.
I guess let's talk about Barret, of course. I mean, like, everyone who knows you, I think, is knows you, of course, from not only your other work, like for example, recently in Promare, your
That
voice
was
acting
fun.
work there. Yeah, but like, yeah, definitely Barret Wallace from Final Fantasy VII Remake. So like, I'm sure everyone in the chat wants to know, like, how did you, like, go about getting this role, and did you like Final Fantasy? Oops, I think my camera froze. But did you like Final Fantasy before you decided to like audition, or like were you just handed this role, or like, the audition for the role from your agent? Like, how did it work?
No, Final Fantasy VII was the first RPG that I had ever seen. That interests me, that I had interest in, because back in the day, it was 97 when that one came out. Most of the RPGs they were just, well, they were all polygons, and some of them were side scrolling, but they didn't have black characters in them.
Mm,
Kind of
mm,
like,
mm,
all right, and then all of a sudden someone's like, hey man, check this game out. It's got a black character in it. I'm like, okay, let me see. And I'm
mm,
like, oh, okay, he's saying some funny stuff. I'm like, oh, he looks like Mr. T. Oh, okay. And I went, wait a minute. He hasn't died yet while I'm playing, right? He's still in it. Wait a minute, he's the leader. Wait a minute, he's in charge. Wait a minute,
mm,
he made it to the end. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So it was like, oh, this is a great character. And I got hooked into RPGs from that point on. And I'm like, wow, this Square, because that's what it was back then. It was up like this. They got a good product here. Okay, let's
mm,
figure out where they came from. And then, of course, I liked anime at the
mm,
time too, and I was a comic book dude. I was the only child, and so I'm like, this is really, really cool. And
mm,
so I was a fan of Final Fantasy VII back when it came out. When I
mm,
got the audition call, Rita said, "Hey, look, they have I want you to audition for this character. Da da da. Da. His name is Barret." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And I didn't think anything of it because we get auditions every week, right? And I looked at it. I'm like, "Okay, Barret." I'm like, "Wait a minute, this sounds like a game I used to play." I'm like, "Rita, is this Barret Wallace from Final Fantasy VII?" She's like, "Yeah, yeah, calm down." What's up?" And I'm like, I have an opportunity to audition for this. I grew up on this, and he made me do this. And she was like, okay, okay. And so I had like 4 or 5 different ways that I was going to do Barret, and
mm,
was preparing to do Barret. And so when they called me into the audition that particular day, um, I had done 3 jobs prior to, and 2 of them were just screaming all day. Doing a loop group session, and then doing a video game session where I was a monster and had to talk like, just crazy stuff with my throat, screaming. And I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do Barret the way I want to do him.
mhm.
So I drank a bunch of tea right before we did it, to a point where I had to use the bathroom right before we did it, and just, had to pinch it off. I'm like, and I know everybody's gonna be like, yeah, John said to pinch it off. I had to pinch it off so that I could get through this audition. And I said, hey, I got like 4 different ways we can do this. You tell me which one you like. And they're like, all right, cool. So we did the audition, and then they're like, okay, narrow it down, blend these two. And we kind of did it like this, some of this, some of this, some of that. And Barret, I was like, okay, well, for me, I'm like, it sounds like my buddy, Billy Horton, who I grew up with
Mm,
since we were 5. And then it also sounded like 2 of my uncles. So I'm like, how do I blend all of that and
mm,
make it sound like Barret? And then how do I
mm,
put me in it so it's easily accessible, especially here when we got so many lines?
mm,
So um, I kept calling, Rita, did we get it? Did they cast yet? And,
mhm,
finally, at one point, I'm like, man, I'm not even going to call anymore, because I'm setting myself up for failure or disappointment, right?
mm,
And then one day she called. She was like, I know you've been calling. Give me a call. I just want to talk to you. They actually made a decision. I'll talk to you soon. Give me a call. And she sounded just like that. I'm like, dang. I was like, we didn't get it. I mean, and my wife knew how much I wanted. So I was like, babe, just got a call from Rita. We didn't get it.
Oh
Dang.
no.
She's like, well, how do you know? I was like, she just called and told me to call her back. So I called her back. And the first thing Rita says, are you sitting down? I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, yeah, I know, we probably didn't get it."
Oh
It's
no.
all good. She's like, "Yeah, yeah, well, you got it, and we're gonna start." And I'm like, "What?" I ran around the house like a kid on Christmas. I was like, "What? I got beer. What? Oh my god, this is gonna be great!" And then I was like, "I better not mess up. I don't want to get
The
fined."
pressure. The pressure.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like there's I can't remember the name of the someone did a whole Final Fantasy 7 thing, and they're like, "Don't mess up," and I'm using a nice word, "Don't mess up." And so that was in the back of my head the whole time, like, "You better not mess this up." And I'm like, "Okay." So I did all the studying that I hadn't done from way back in the day about
Mm-mm.
his relationship, where he worked, why he has the daughter,
Mm-hmm.
why Marlene's his daughter, who his best friend was, why he wants to do this to Shinra. And so I was just like, yo, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. And
Mm-mm.
let's do it in a way so it's not a caricature of what everybody would think a black man would be. A big
Mm-mm.
black man with a gun for an arm, how they thought he would talk, or how that text was back in the day. How do I marry the two and not get out there and embarrass my culture,
Mm.
myself, my family? How do I do this the right way,
Right.
especially in this day and age? And you know, it sounds like we did a good job. There's a few haters, but it's okay. You always got to have trolls and haters. That's how you know you're doing what you're supposed to do.
No, I mean, I think you did like a fantastic way of representing Barrett in not a like you mentioned the stereotypical way, because in a lot of anime video games they are made in Japan, right? So the culture is different and their perception of people of color are different.
Way
So
different.
yeah, and but I think like what you did with the character for Barrett, you really brought him to life and brought him into a society that you know if if he wasn't like having a gun for an arm or whatever, like he would exist you know in our
Cool,
society.
cool.
Yeah, and I
That's
think
cool to
that,
hear.
yeah, that's really really important, and I think it's amazing that you're able to do that as a voice actor, and just solely through your voice you're able to bring life to Barrett Wallace and make him believable.
Thank you, Audrey. A
No,
lot
no
of
problem.
prayer, a lot of tea, a lot of honey, a lot of throat coat,
Oh, yeah. So
a lot
like
of hard work.
how long did the recording take for FF7 Remake?
I don't remember. Definitely about a year or
Mm.
maybe more. I don't remember how long,
Mm.
um, because we did so many sessions and then we took a break, and there were rewrites, or there was new animation that came through,
Mm.
and
Mm. Mm.
but it took a while. I remember starting in maybe March or April, and then I remember taking a break, and then I remember the guys who were doing the translations for us, um, John and Ben, who are unbelievably talented, unbelievable writers. They were just so good to translate the Japanese to English. They
Mm.
I took them to my family's house here in Orange County for Thanksgiving.
Mm. Mm.
So it was a while. We were recording this for a minute.
Wow.
Yeah, it was some and long sessions, like 4-hour sessions, and which was cool, and it taught me a lot about myself, because Barrett doesn't say anything soft.
Mm.
Everything is like way up here,
Yeah.
unless he's talking about Marlene or talking to Marlene,
Mm. Right.
or unless he's like gravely serious.
Right.
But
Right.
for the
Right.
most part, he's a big character, and the animation, he's big. He moves, and his voice has to match his movement. You kind of can't go against his movement being so big and
Mm.
then speak soft. There are places where I did it, and it was very, very much calculated.
Mm.
Um, but some of it worked, and I had unbelievably great directors who
Mm.
said, "Hey, try that, try that." So it was a contrast, and
Mm.
but the writers for Final Fantasy VII from Jump Street, Japan, the actors, the Japanese actors who did the mocap, the team, man, oof, Square Enix is they're on point with this.
Mm.
They were on
Mm.
point. They put something together that I haven't seen a Final Fantasy look like ever. And
Mm,
the
yeah.
score, the music is just incredible. I mean,
Right. Right.
this is a huge project in itself, but the quality is just dynamic. Visually, audibly, the product is outstanding. And so I'm just blessed to be able to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's a huge project. So I think like they definitely have to be on top of stuff like to be
They
able to,
were.
get it out on a schedule. But you mentioned that like it was like maybe about a year or so process. So was the script all done or was it like still being translated as you were recording throughout the year?
Oh, it was still being done. It was still being
Ah.
translated.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, there were some scenes that were added, I'm pretty sure.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it was a continuous process.
Mm, mm,
It was a
mm.
continuous process,
And then
you
you
know. So
for motion capture as well, like they were also recording motion capture and then sending it to you guys and then having it translated, voice acted, then go back to do other motion capture, like that kind of process.
well, we never did the motion cap. We never did the mocap. The mocap was done over in Japan by the
Mhm.
Japanese actors.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but I'm not sure if mocap wasn't completed or not. I just whenever I came in, it was like, this is what we have today. This is the amount of lines that we're trying to get recorded within this session.
Right, right,
You
right.
know, so it was
Mhm.
kind of like whatever came in, be prepared for and go. But it wasn't
Mm.
like, here, John, this is what's going to come tomorrow. So read over this. We never had that.
Oh,
Everything was like, all
wow.
right, this is what we're going over today.
Wow, so
You
you
know,
have
so
to like
it wasn't in
know.
order.
Well, no, yeah, but you have to know the emotions and everything like on the day of.
Yeah, pretty much. And
Oh,
thank
wow.
God I loved the game when I was a kid
Yeah.
and knew, oh, okay, this is when the sector one, this is a plate's about to fall. Okay. This is
Yeah.
a pizza. Okay, this is a pizza plate. Oh, okay, we're in the palace now. All right. Oh, there's Don. This is
Yeah.
the scene where we go with Don. I wasn't in that part, but so you had to know, and thank God, like I said, I played it. Oh, this is
Yeah.
when he thought Marlene died. Okay, okay, all right. Then I knew that was gonna be a heavy day period. And it
Right,
really
right,
was.
right,
But it
right.
was cool because I could relate being a dad of four boys. And,
Mm,
I just put in my memory, what would I do if?
mm,
And so it was cool to be able to have a voiceover project that was so well written and so well animated, even with the facial expressions and everything that was there, and be able to act. You didn't have to just say, "Okay, what would I do if?" Okay, if it's created, you didn't have to think. You're just like,
mm.
"Okay, this is what's happening." All right, I remember this part when I was playing in '97 and I didn't finish until '98. All right,
Right.
this is that part.
Mm,
Or, oh, wait a minute, what's because there were some changes in the this game compared to what the '97 was,
mm.
and so I had to be prepared for some stuff. And other stuff shocked me when I was in the book. I'm like, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
but but I but I had to still, man,
You're like, wait,
do it.
what?
So you
What? Chapter 17. What?
oh
Barret?
I know. I know. I'm like, wait a minute, run that back. Am I fired? Is this the end? Just trying not to give anything away. But
Yeah,
so I was, I had to catch myself a couple times like,
yeah.
dang it, the train is stopped. But it's all good.
That's
It's all good.
awesome.
So it was a fun process, and I can't wait for everybody to the future.
Yeah, of course. Working with a script that's still in development, I'm sure it has its own challenges. Like you mentioned, you get the thing when you get there, so you have to prepare somehow in a short amount of time. But like in terms of the script itself, like are is the translations approved, by like Japan first, and then brought back and then edited, or like how does
Oh
that
yeah.
work?
No, Ben and John, there were times when I remember they were like, okay, we have the scene. We were up till 4 o'clock doing it.
Wow.
And we just got it approved, so we'll do that tomorrow. Or, they were
Mm-hmm.
when I mean they were good, they were beyond good. And
Mm.
so they would take that translation and we would have it for the day, but that was probably something that they transcribed 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago or a day, and they didn't want to really. They were so cool because they were like, we want to have it for the whole scene, not just for snippets, because we want you to stay in that moment, right?
Mm.
So we want to have this whole thing prepared for you, so when you come in, you can knock this out, and it'll be a smooth flow, as opposed to if I came in and said, "Okay, today we're gonna cry," and but we only have 3 lines, and then you're
Yeah.
gonna cry 2 days later. You know
No,
what I
yeah.
mean? You're
It's
like,
you're out of the
"How did I
zone.
sound 2 days ago?" You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? So
Mm-hmm,
they were excellent, and you could ask them any kind of questions. That's what was beautiful, and they'd be like, "Okay, well, this word means this." I'm like, "Oh, oh, so he's cussing his butt off, but we're not saying that." So because the original
Oh
Barret,
yeah.
all the little
It's
symbols,
all
he
the
was
symbols.
going nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So it was cool, man. It was a very, very fun process. I can tell you, not once did I ever get frustrated.
Mm,
Not with my directors, who were unbelievably patient and calm, and knew they did more homework than me, it felt like,
mm.
whenever I came into a session. Our booth tech, he was the bomb. And his girl came in one day and she ran, and I'm like, "Did he tell you what we were doing?" It was flawless. So there was never a time when I was frustrated, and
Mm,
that made it, like you say, with your workers. You guys communicate. You guys, it's a smooth, it's seamless,
mm.
and that you made an environment safe, healthy, and very productive. They made it so safe, so productive, so healthy. Rita, the casting director, she made it so good. It was just a great experience.
That's awesome. And yeah, I'm like super happy to hear that because you had a great experience, like that you also, be like in the future, voicing other things as well with so that's very good that you're staying with the character of Barrett.
I didn't say that.
No, I mean,
I don't know. You
yeah,
got to
no.
ask some folks at Square Enix. I ain't giving
Hopefully,
nothing away. I got
hopefully.
in trouble. I got in trouble one time saying something. I didn't even say it, and somebody, what was his name? I wish I could remember his name. I think it was Night Sky. But anyway, he because he's so engrossed in the game and in Final Fantasy, and he took these things and said, "Well, John Bentley, voice actor John Bentley said," did it. And I was like, I didn't say that,
Oh
but he
no.
interpreted things into because he knew the game and he knew the flow of things. He said
Oh,
stuff. I'm like,
right.
really? I didn't know that was a game. I didn't know that was happening. Then I went, hey, man, I didn't say that shit. You're about to get me fired.
Oh no.
you know,
Oh
but it's
no.
all good.
Yeah, no,
It's all
definitely. We
good.
totally understand you have like NDAs and everything. So of course, like
Big
we
NDAs.
work with that. We work with that too. In
Cool.
in our industry, so we totally understand. Um, but
Cool.
uh, but yeah, a lot of people mention like that the translation the localization I suppose is different than the original Japanese, but like you said earlier that they get approval from the Japan
Mhm.
side right before you guys
Yes.
do your recording. But was there any like line specifically for Barrett that they had to like completely change, like that you recall?
Not really. They were
Mm-hmm.
so diligent and on point with the translation, um that and what I received, that I didn't see anywhere we had to go back and check or we stumbled over, not that I can remember, or anything that had to be approved for us to
Mm-hmm.
say. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but everything of course had to be run through, you know, Square Enix Japan for us
Mm-hmm.
to say what they wanted and get it right. But like I
Of
said,
course.
there were times when our interpreters were on the phone with Japan. And then,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is what we translated to. Okay, this is what we did. And there was times when both of them were there sometimes. One was working with me in the booth and one was at a different spot and writing the script. Or, hey, when we did this, we need to do this and we need to pick this up. And they just sent this in. So,
Wow.
it was just great communication. And
Yeah,
that's what I
definitely.
think made the project so good. And it wasn't just for me. I think a lot of the other actors, they were receiving the same just comfort zone. Like,
Hmm.
okay, we have this is what we're doing today. It was just smooth. It was seamless. Now,
Yeah.
I'm sure they would say, no, you don't know what the hell was going on in the booth. But for me, it was I know Chris is laughing because as a director and producer, we really don't know what's happening like directly in the booth because we're
Uh-huh.
just seeing you guys. But for me, it was a very smooth transition. Very smooth, seamless job. It was great.
That's
Yeah, usually we
awesome.
just give you like a brief bio of the character and saying like, in this moment, such
Yep.
and such is bad or whatever, and like feel sad, and then you're like,
Right.
okay, so but
All the
obviously,
while, all the while, the clients are like, "Hey, we need this, and you can't do this, and at this time we need this, and who's the next actor coming in, and we need to."
or you have
And
Mm.
to
we
say
would,
X amount of line in like such a short time. Like you got
and
3 seconds to say this
that's what
monologue.
happened. That
Yeah.
did happen. They're
Mm.
like, "Okay, here's the Japanese version," and you always had to listen to it because you had to say it within the amount of time. I guess, Audrey, you asking the question. That was probably one of the harder things to do.
Mm. Mm.
If
Mm.
the lines were too long, we had to change the line or
Right.
take out a word or two. Or if the
Right.
lines
Right.
were too short, then we had to figure out how to do it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but you had to listen to, so that's what I mean. I had to literally watch what was happening, what their movement was, literally listen to the inflection and what they were saying, look at the paper and see what they wanted me to say for the translation, marry that into the two, and then listen to how long I had to say it
Mm. Mm. Mm.
on the fly as you got it.
Wow, that sounds
So that
challenging.
was like, well, but it was fun. So for
Mm.
me, I had a ball because you're in your head like, okay, as an actor, and then after a while, you just got used to it. It's like, hey, we're going to work. And
Right.
for me
Right.
being an athlete, it was like, oh, this is great. That was practice. Everything that I've been doing years plus, it's game
It's
time.
like,
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Here's
came
the
all the
game.
way into fruition to
Right.
this. Yeah,
Right. There is no
to this
halftime
moment.
until after 4 hours,
Mm.
so
Mm. Mm.
it was
Mm.
like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's
Um,
why I tell people when they want to do voiceover work, they need to know it's work. You can't
right.
just wake up and go, I want to be a voiceover actor. Let me read. It's not, you have to do the work. It's
Right,
work,
right, of course.
but it's fun.
So aside from Barrett, do you look for like a specific character to play when you take on roles?
Same thing as when you're saying what kind of voice stuff did you want to do or
You
what.
just, as long
If
as
it's
you have
work,
a
I'm
job.
there.
I
As
see.
long as I'm working. And if I'm work, I learned Samuel Jackson. I don't know if anybody can relate to this. At the time I came to Hollywood, uh, um, what's his name? Now I can't remember. Danny Glover. Danny Glover
Mm-hmm.
was black man number one. He and Denzel did
Mm-hmm.
everything at the
Mm-hmm.
time when I came here. I think it was 95, 96.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't Denzel, it was Danny Glover. And all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden, Sam Jackson came in and you would see all these little indie films he would do and he would kill it.
Mm-hmm.
He would just tear it up. He would take that script, bring it to life, and there were different characters. And he chose different cadences. He chose different voices. Even though we know Sam talks just like this all the damn time, no, I'm teasing. He doesn't. But he would break things up. He's like, if you even look at the dog on Capital One commercials, you can follow where he's going in his head, and it makes you feel like, oh, that's my favorite uncle. Oh, that's my cousin. Oh, you know what I mean? Or I would love to
Right.
have chicken wings with that guy and sit down and watch March Madness. You know what I'm saying? That's how Sam Jackson would take the script and bring it so to life. And so
Mm-hmm.
at that point, it was that changing of the guard that was happening. Sam was
Mm-hmm.
coming in, he wasn't turning down anything. And that's when I realized, I think I saw him write, he wrote it or someone quoted it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, longevity is the key to what we do. And you see his career and you
Right.
see he's doing everything. And it's not about how many ways do I get to market myself? How many ways do I get to recreate myself or make my brand so big? It's like, no, no, no. How many chances do I get to work? This is
Mm-hmm.
where my mindset was. It's about
Mm-hmm.
longevity, and with the longevity, the quality of the work.
Right.
And I remember the first time I went to Vegas and I saw a crap table. I'm like, I'd never played craps on a table. I'm not going into that story. And so I'm like, well, why does that dude have the dice the whole time? I couldn't figure it out. And then I was like, oh, he crapped out just like, back in the day when growing up in the hood. So how long does that man get the dice to roll, play, and win money? How
Mm-hmm.
long does that take? You have to wait for it to come back around. Yeah, those are cycles. Those are
Mm-hmm.
seasons,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how do I hold the dice and get to roll on my accord? How long do I get to hold on to roll the dice? How many chances do I get to You see what I'm saying? So for me, it was
Mm.
about longevity. And so
Mm.
longevity meant there's a job, go after it. There's an audition, go after it. There's chance I get, whenever I get the audition, I'll audition.
Mm.
You know,
Right. Right.
if I know I can do the job, I'm going to audition for it,
Right.
regardless of what it is. Because
Mm.
it's been handed to me to try to get the job. The dice were given to me to try to, you see what I'm saying? So that's my
Mm.
mindset. And if you have that kind of drive, then you can be in entertainment
Mm.
because it's about the work and it's about the relationships within the work.
Right.
See,
Right.
how many fans can you win from the people that you have to audition for? And how many fans can you win from the directors and the producers that see you audition? Because if
Oh.
I win a
Mm.
fan, they'll want me for one of their projects somewhere down the line.
Right. 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 Right.
Or maybe not, but I have a chance to get it. So
Mm.
how many chances do I get to go to the table with the dice? So I
Mm.
learned that from Sam Jackson, man. Don't turn, nothing's too small
That's a really interesting
unless it's
analogy.
like
With yeah.
$25 check. I'm teasing. I'm totally
No,
teasing.
no, but that analogy totally makes sense. It's like you only have a few, you only have so many chances before you crap out. So you have
Right.
to, take advantage of what you can. And then if, once you do crap out, it's fine. When someone else finishes their role, you're back to the role. So
Exactly. Exactly.
so yeah, that's awesome though. For to hear about like how like voice acting in general works, and how as a voice actor, what kind of things that you put a lot of attention to. And
Mhm.
I was wondering for people who are in the chat, like, is there any tips you have for people who might be interested in going into voice acting, and if there are any challenges, what kind of challenges do you think that they should be aware of?
I think it's different for everybody. It all depends on what genre you want to go into. Like you were talking before, do you want to be a spokesperson? Um,
Mm,
do you want to do newscasting? Do you want to
mm,
do television? Do you want to do commercial? Do you want to do radio? Do you want to do copy? Do you want to do industrials? Do you want to do video games? Do you want to do anime? Do you want to do transcribing? There's so many different fields that you want to go. You would have to figure out what you would want to go into.
mm,
I would say train. I would say find a reputable, good company where you can go in and train, or a teacher that you can go in and train. I would say don't go out and get a bunch of huge amounts unless you got it like that
mm,
of quality equipment, because that changes on the daily too. But just get something where you can hear your own voice. And
mm,
this is just for voice acting. I'm not even getting into on camera stuff.
mm.
I guess we'll get into that later as we go on through this series
Yes,
that we're
yes.
going to be doing.
Yeah, the next few
How
episodes
did
will be
I?
really cool.
Yeah, yeah. How did I and I are going to be able to explain a lot too. But as
For
far as voice acting, um, you have to train. You have to know how you sound. You have to know what you're comfortable sounding like. You have to know how you can get ugly. Like facial expressions can get you to a voice that you never thought you'd have. I would always do this thing when I taught class as a when I was in college and I was like a TA. Um, can you do voice, body, face? And that means your body's going to do something, your face is going to do something, and your voice is going to do something. Well, guess what? That is your product. That is you. That is what you are selling. Voice, body,
Mm,
face. Now, back in the day when there was, silent films, all you had was face and body.
mhm, mhm,
So you
mhm,
had to tell a story with this and this, right?
mm,
So now we have our voice involved. So just like my face can say, well, I'm angry, can I be angry and still just talk this calm? Can I look like I want to tear somebody up, but still just talk this calm? It's hard to do. I used to do this
right.
in front of a mirror. That's another thing I would suggest people do. Get in front of a mirror. Or can I talk angry and look like I'm just smiling? But I really want to just tear something up the whole time, just tear up those lamps over there. So how can you do that? Because it changes volume, pitch, everything else. So those are drills that I would actually
Wow.
suggest people do in front of the mirror so you can know
Mhm,
what you look like and be not afraid to look crazy. But
mm,
I would, I remember when I started stuff way back in the day, I didn't realize that, oh, you've got to do it different out here in LA. So I joined
mm,
a group called Voice 123 online. I'm always pumping them up because that's how I started. I started off and I bought the microphone, a Blue Yeti, and I hooked it up to my little computer, my little laptop. I did not even have an interface. I just hooked it straight in. It was a
Mm.
USB mic,
Mm.
and I would record whatever they sent me. And then I realized, oh, I should probably pay this yearly fee so that I can get more auditions. But
Mm-hmm.
every audition I got, which I refused to turn any down. Now it's like I get a lot and I can't. I'm like, oh man, I can't do that. I'm working, you know. But I refused to turn any down. Every time I did it, I got better and better and better with my equipment. I knew what I sounded like. I knew which pitches I could. Like this is a shotgun mic. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many different mics you can use for different voices. I
Right.
would sound different if it was right here on the voice. This is the in a world, as opposed to in a world. It sounds different, right? So
Yeah.
you get to know your equipment and you
Yeah.
start doing different things and you start doing different voices and you talk way up here like this and then you come back down here and you talk like so you start
Wow.
playing and then it allows you to know your tool, know your instrument, know what you got to offer. So when you get these auditions and you know I can't do that, you
Mm.
don't do it. You don't waste your time. But when you get
Mm.
something, say, you know what, that's in my wheelhouse, or that's a little bit far fetched, but I think I can get to it
Mm.
and you go for it. So that I would suggest finding someone who could teach you a good
Mm.
class. Not because there's a lot of people out here right now, and how did I you know there's a lot of people out here who try to take your money and they're not reputable and they can't get you anywhere.
Mm.
You want reps, you want repetition. You have to be careful with who you get with, right,
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, so get with somebody who you know is working and you know who is possibly casting. Get a demo tape together and narrow that demo tape down. Is it going to be for anime? Is it going to
Mm.
be for video games? Is it going to be for spokesperson? Is it going to so there's so many genres. Figure out which genre you're strong at. Get into that and then
Mm.
go, and
Also,
don't let anybody
I would
tell
say
you
like
no.
also like
Go.
associated with like maybe like knowing a little bit about like agencies and stuff like that too, because agencies will help a lot, especially because like game companies like from my own experience, that's who we actually talk to. We don't just like I'm not just gonna DM as much as I love you, John, for legal reasons. So I have to go to your agent or something.
Right.
So
Right.
understanding a little bit about that. Another thing, maybe just piggybacking real quick, just because about more of the industry and just getting people involved into that, and just in the entertainment industry in general, I would say is first really look inwards, find out what you're truly passionate about, because unfortunately I believe that we actually don't really choose what we're passionate about. Passion
Mm,
chooses us. So even though
mm,
people might like the idea of voice acting and stuff, I feel as though, especially when I work with a lot of voice actors or other things in the industry, I feel as though some people they just like the idea of being famous.
mm-hmm.
And Anthony Mackie
Yep.
actually said something perfect about it in a talk before, is that he didn't become the Falcon because he wanted to become the Falcon. He became because he was discovered in New York. He was an actor. He was
Mm-hmm.
passionate about what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get into the industry to be famous. And people who do, which are a lot, they sometimes maybe they'll last, but usually they don't really. It's famous fickle. What you really should find is what you're passionate about. Because if I was still passionate, I'd be in animating and all the
Mm.
games and movies I used to. But now, no, that not. So I'm doing other things now.
Mm.
What I'm passionate about. So that's what I would kind of say too, is like if you want to get into voice acting, first is like really kind of do some soul searching, see if like even if you want to go to California or not, or who, and like also agencies, just know really the backbone of like what companies are actually looking for,
Yeah.
rather than just also the I guess the journey of what some voice actors, because everyone's different. So you have to
Everyone.
kind of know the full picture, which that's just a little bit of taste of what we'll do talk about later in the next few
Mm-hmm.
episodes. But I'll let you continue. But yeah,
But
so
no, you said something that's very important, and I was going to mention this. Chris says something that's so um, overlooked at times. Not just following your passion,
Mm.
but here's the deal: you you can't compromise. You there's so many people who get into this, like Chris is saying, to be famous or to get rich, or it's about work. If you can do this and make a living and be consistent at it,
Mm.
you can do well at it financially, but not to a point where you're willing to compromise, because there are people out here who will prey on you, regardless of what city you're in, regardless of what industry you're in the entertainment business, especially if you're good looking, especially if you're in shape. you can't be gullible. You have to understand that this is a business, and people will try to take your brand, take your body, take your mind, take your soul, and you have to be guarded
Mm.
regardless if you're male or female. You have to be guarded. So I always tell people, don't compromise. Don't be willing to sleep with someone or do that drug or go to that place just because someone promised you that they could get you a job
Mm.
or get you
Yeah.
in to meet somebody. You don't
Mm.
do that. It's too
Mm.
dangerous. So I would always tell people and warn people, hey man, have enough wisdom and discernment enough to know that's a good person or that's not a good person. And don't put yourself in a position to be taken advantage of. Don't put yourself in a position to be mollied. Don't put
Mm.
yourself into a position for someone to do something to you, whether it be physical or mental or verbal, that would put you out in a place that you just wouldn't want to be. It's not worth it. It's
Mm.
not worth it.
Yeah,
Totally.
no,
And
definitely.
yeah, and there's a several people that I actually mentor, two of which are now in the game industry and stuff. But if anyone ever wants to or has any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I always answer DMs or emails or whatever, because I'm more than happy to like help navigate through those waters, just to just be upfront. And it's, you know, it might be a little bit transparent, but I'll always be open and willing to collaborate, because that's how you help people, you know. And the
Mhm.
industry's small, so why try to hold everything and hoard everything to yourself like Smog, you know, the dragon? Instead, why
Right.
don't you try to actually like help and benefit? Because that's what we're doing right now. That's what this whole Aitai Chat is trying to help motivate and actually tell people that no, you can do it. You know,
Mhm.
all my whole life, even with Audrey, like back in the day, like people probably told her, no, you can't make a company in Japan. Or myself, people were like, you can't just work in games. Or well, I loved Final Fantasy, and then lo and behold, I work on it. You know, and like
Mhm.
that can all happen. Same with you, John. So things can happen, and
Yep.
that's overall what the series that we're doing right now will be. And we're going to be interviewing more people. But you know, side
Yeah, we
tangent.
we want to equip. We want to help. We want to safeguard you. We want to make sure that you're encouraged and not
Yeah.
discouraged. We want to make sure that you know the truth is told. You know, it's just you got to make sure that you're prepared for this. It is a it's an adventure, and it's a fun adventure. And you know, I know several people that went, you know what, I can't do it anymore. And I get it.
Mm.
You know, some people are like, financially, I can't stay in this region and do this. Well,
Mm.
guess what? Voiceover is so cool because you can be, especially right now. I mean, we've been doing it, wouldn't you say, Chris? We've been doing voiceover remotely, and now all of a sudden the industry got, okay, well, you have to audition through Zoom, or you have to, and it could be like anywhere now. You know, I think my
Right.
first job when I started with the internet, my first job was, I was like, man, I bought all this equipment and I didn't have any money. Michelle
Mm.
and I had just moved here, and I bought this equipment, and I'm like, dang, this is expensive. This Blue Yeti microphone and this little box to put to the computer, as hard as, oh, and a mic stand. And my
Yeah.
first job paid for that equipment, and I think the first job happened maybe 3 weeks after.
Hmm.
First job paid for that equipment, and then some. And I'm like, oh, it also paid for the membership. And I'm like, this is how this works. It can be a very lucrative thing if you do it the right way. And lo and behold, I got a phone call from hearing my reel on Voice 123, and they said, "Hey, we heard you do this. Can you do this audition for us?" And I was like, "Sure." And it was an audition to play a doctor, and it was for this little thing called Dead Space. And I'm like, "Okay, Dead Space. All right, cool. Oh, it's a comic book. It's an action comic book. Oh my gosh!" Nobody knows that Dead Space was an action comic book before it was a video game.
Hmm.
And so I went in, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And they had a setup just like me right here in a little section. They didn't even have it enclosed in a booth.
Mm.
And we recorded an action comic book right there with a microphone. They didn't have a Blue Yeti, they had a little bit more. And then until that company got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they had their own booth and they had their own studio, then they had their own warehouse. I'm like, oh, this is how this works. I can do this. If I can do that, I can do this at home.
Mm.
So always have your eyes open for opportunity and always be ready for change and always be able to hear direction as opposed to, no, I want to do it my way. Well, if you do that, your job and your time in this business is probably going to be short-lived.
Mm. Was did the pandemic like change things a lot for voice acting? Was
All
that, did you
this.
not have that before?
No, I didn't have. I think I had. this little box right here. I can't even this
like
like
soundproof.
air crate foam in this
Yeah,
box.
yeah.
And I put my mic in there, and I would just be wherever I would be, or I would go to a like when I was traveling with my sons, or we'd be at the row in a hotel, and I would take 2 pillows and encase them, fold them up, and try to make a little box for my microphone so that it didn't get room. And
Right.
so it just the pandemic changed a lot. The pandemic made me go, wait a minute, I have to have a home studio. I have to have a condenser. I have to have the right microphone. I have to have all these things. And thank God we were able to do it. And as you can see, I know people are like, is John in the basement doing this Aitai Chat? It's like, no, this is literally me making a booth out of blankets, comforters, moving blanket, when you move the big heavy blankets. And this right here, this is all PVC piping.
Right.
I went online and I saw a guy build a booth, and his was a 6x6, or no, 6x3, and it was straight up because he was a tall cat. I was like, well, how do I do this to make a booth and close it off if I need to? How do I do this? So I just said, hey, hon, I'm gonna put a booth up in the bedroom in the little corner by the TV, and this is where we're gonna do our work. This is gonna be our office. And lo and behold, we have done looping and video games and a lot of anime. I can't talk about in this room. But I long for the day when I can go back into a studio. Any chance I get to go back in, because things are kind of lightening up a little bit, Audrey, where you can do this if you do this, and they have to do the HEPA filter and all that. So any chance I get to go in, I'm like, let me go in. Because between the paperwork, the editing myself, the recording myself, trying to do it, trying to look at copy, and if I have a camera up, because anime, you got to match the flaps. It's like hard to do all of those things, as opposed to when you go in and someone is in the booth running it. You have a director, you have someone in your ear. It's like when you're doing it by yourself. I was like, thank God for that little $500 to do my own stuff with the Blue Yeti, and because it taught me how to respect and honor the folks who are in the booth, making sure your session runs well. Because that's another thing that's important. When people want to work with you, they hire you. They hire you and they speak on your behalf. No, you got to hire this guy. He's the nicest guy. No, you got to hire this girl. She's the coolest girl. And people want to work with you, especially when you're doing quality work.
You're already hired.
That pays off.
I said you're already hired. Wherever I go, you're already hired, so don't worry.
Oh, so you better remember that. Now watch, you're gonna see a big old project that Chris is gonna be part of, and be like, well, where's John? He promised him online.
Oh no, don't worry.
But no, seriously, when people want to work with you, it means something. It really does mean something. And it's an honor and it's a blessing. But I mean, y'all have heard the stories about horrible people that you never want to work with, whether it be in business or whether it be, hey, come over to my house so we can talk, or hey, I want to sell you these products. I mean, we've all had to deal with difficult people, right? But how you deal with them could honestly change their hearts.
Yeah, I mean,
Dang, I sound like I'm doing some.
No,
what's that?
I think
Persona 5.
Persona 5. Or to steal their hearts.
It's steal their hearts.
No, but yeah, definitely. Like even for us at Aitai, like in the beginning, we had like I relied a lot on friends to help kind of start out the business. But then it gets to a point where like your friend doesn't really, your friends might not really be on the same page as you are with how you want the direction of the business to go. So we actually, did have a couple of instances where it was kind of like a bump in the road, but it really does help. Once you overcome that hurdle and you understand like, oh, so I've solved it this way, it really helps. If down the line, if something similar happens, or if you run into someone similar, kind of how you have that experience already of how to deal with that person, right, or that thing. So I definitely can empathize with what you just said.
Think about it, Audrey. You can't grow without conflict, and you can't go through something that brings conflict without becoming closer with each other.
Mm-hmm.
When you got your team, you got to go through it so you can become closer. And
Mm-hmm.
then if it comes up again, you catch it early on so you can nip
Mm-hmm.
it in the bud before it happens. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You
Exactly.
can't get better without running into a wall. If
Mm-hmm.
things
Mm-hmm.
are all peachy gory and handed to you, you only know one way to do it.
Right.
But if you have
Exactly.
to struggle to get something, to earn something, you got multiple ways to do it and multiple ways to deal with you mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Mm.
It would allow you to be more desirable to work with, to work for, and to bring the quality of work. So
Right.
that's how I look at it.
No,
Exactly.
that's
That's
super well
sorry.
said.
Yeah, no, that's piggybacking real quick. That's also a perfect way to really truly analyze, even if you don't know who you are as a person or your peers, how you actually are as a person is, I believe, is like how you like approach and like how you work around and deal with conflict. Because
Yep.
like if someone is faced with a problem, how they get around it or how they deal with it, that shows you who the person's true face is. And same with
Totally.
your coworkers and whoever. So, you know,
Totally.
I guess word to the wise is like if you ever have a friend or a coworker who might have done something that you might have thought was for a better word shady or something to get out of
Mhm.
something, just keep that in mind. Or
Hmm.
same thing though, if they do something like maybe that you feel as though is honorable, maybe like deep down they might actually be like a genuine person. So that's like one of the things I always like take into consideration. So whenever there's conflict, Audrey already knows. Whenever there's a problem, I'm always like, "This is a great learning experience. We're about to
Yeah.
see how
Sure.
everything goes."
Yeah,
So,
it's like,
and
oh,
Audrey's always a
it's a
truth of
shit
dealing with
show,
me
but
like that.
we'll figure out, like, we'll learn from it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's true. And that usually is what it is. I always say where there's people, there's poop
Yep.
in some shape, form, or fashion. We all have it. We all deal a certain way. It's just how we
Right.
know what comes out of you, no pun intended, what comes out of you when there's pressure. What
Yep.
comes out of
Right.
your mouth? What are your actions? What do you perform better? Do you take the bull by the horn? Are you
Mm.
productive? Are you not? Are you slackered? Are you emotional? What comes out tells you a lot about yourself if you're able to self evaluate too.
In
Mm-hmm.
words.
Mm-hmm.
That's like what Chris was saying earlier. You got to do some soul searching,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
especially when you're doing a job in the entertainment business. What drives people are like, well, how do you? I'm like, I hear no more than probably anybody in the entertainment business, especially actors, when we audition for whatever it may be, we hear no more than anybody, I think, in business, period.
Mm.
So, what kind of skin has developed from those no's?
Mm-hmm.
And how long can you hear those no's before giving in or not? Which is what I'm telling people. Don't give in to, well, they said no. What am I doing wrong? Well, maybe if I go in,
Mm.
know who you are, know your boundaries, set some boundaries if you don't have them. Find people that are close to you, just like you said, Audrey, about friends. Find people who are close to you, who are intimate with you, that you can say, "Hey, listen, I'm having a problem. Is this wrong? Yeah, man. You need to." It's like when you have a bad girlfriend. Hey, man, you met her, right? I introduced you for a reason. You're like, "Yeah, man, she's beautiful." And that dude is like, yeah, she's beautiful physically, but she just cussed your mama out. So you're not gonna tell me about that part. Should I stay away or should I not? Man, she's
Right.
beautiful. Well, I guarantee you, if he's saying she's beautiful all the time, he's messing around with her. But anyway,
Mm.
just not that it happened to me.
Oh
But
no.
anyway, but anyway, you gotta have people that you can trust to speak into your life and to
Right.
help you for the next step, not just give you words of wisdom and roll on, man. To be invested in you, to when you bring them something, to say, hey, you need to pump the brakes, dude. You're partying too hard, or you're
Mm.
doing this the wrong way, or that's not who you are, and
Mm-hmm.
you
Exactly.
know,
Yeah,
and
we're
whether
made
they hear
up
you or
of
not, at least you've done it.
yeah, I
Right.
mean, and we're,
Right.
we're made up of like the five people, we associate ourselves with the most, not the ones we love the most, but who we associate. So like whether it be work or whatever. So, it's definitely what I always strive to be is like, if you're not if you're the smartest person in the room, then maybe something's wrong. And like, you should try to find and see other people and like try to, not saying like you should ditch anyone. No, definitely not. But you should always try to strive to find people who are better than you. So that way you're always learning in any
Mm-hmm.
field, whether it
Mm-hmm.
be in games, e-commerce or voice acting or film or anything like that, or even not even in this industry, just like spiritually as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like you should like search and seek these people. I mean, I think that's why we're all together and like why we all kind of like formed this bond, because
I
we're all
agree.
different backgrounds, but
You have to be able to embrace constructive criticism. If
Right.
not, you can never grow. You
Right.
have to see what someone else sees you as or hears you as. And you got to be able, they have to be trustworthy. And then sometimes some of the haters can tell you what they feel and what they see. And you have to actually listen to, did I really come off that way to them? Especially if it's a large group of them. But then there's other ones that just, is whatever. But what
Yeah,
what
I mean there are
what
different types of
drives you?
people. Right, right.
Right.
Yeah, right. I mean in this industry, like whether it be video games or anime or voice acting, in this kind of an entertainment industry, I suppose. There's always like really really crappy, situations, crappy things that you get into, but you just kind of have to experience it and learn how to grow from it, right? So
So true.
definitely having that experience, like yeah, it's shit when you do experience it, but at least you're able to take that, as an experience where you learn, where you grow, and you take
Hmm.
that and you use it to your advantage. So
And Audrey, on top of it, which I know you do because you're the CEO, you can help the next person who's going through it and
right,
tell them,
right,
hey,
right.
I don't know what your experience is, but let me tell you what happened to me, and this is how
Mhm.
I dealt with it.
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Exactly.
if we could learn to do that, with each other as human beings, period,
Mhm.
just speak and communicate and uplift and edify and try to help one another
Mhm.
and actually care about one another,
Mhm.
having compassion and empathy. If we could do that, man, we can change this doggone world.
and
Yeah.
knowing the difference between sympathy and empathy, because we usually, when we say you should have empathy, people will be like, well, I don't really feel. I'm like, no, no, you have empathy is where you actually see from the other person. You don't actually have to feel bad, but you have to
Right.
understand
Mhm.
where the other person's coming from, even your enemies, or I don't want to say the word enemy, but like let's say your rival or whoever,
Hmm.
and that you're trying to compete with. To competition is actually good because it breeds progress, like you said,
Yeah.
conflict. So like it's also with empathy, you have to understand who the opposing forces are, so that way you can kind of like better yourself. Sympathy is where you just you have more of an emotion, and like and it's good to sympathize, but at the same
Hmm.
time it's also good to know the difference.
Oh,
Right.
you have to. You
Mhm.
have to, because sympathy can also come off as being false or fake. You know what I
Virtue.
mean?
Mhm.
Yep.
And so you got to be cautious with it. But and a lot of times when I find people who are trying or forcing themselves to be sympathetic, they're talking through you. They're not
Mhm.
listening to what you're saying. And I
Mhm.
think that once again, communication is key. Think about this. If you played Final Fantasy and you didn't have any sound on, maybe the music, but you couldn't hear what the characters were saying, how could you know what to do? I mean, you could guess, of course, it would take you a long time. But if someone communicated to you what they were saying, or that you were listening to what that person was saying, then you would know, oh, okay, I got to go over here in the train station, or okay, I got to go over here in the desert, or okay, I got to get on that chocobo's back.
Mhm.
You would hear what to do. That's why I say it's important for people to listen. I've had to teach myself this because I talk too much. I talk a lot, but I've had to train myself to listen, because when you listen, you actually care. And when you care, you actually are dealing with empathy as opposed to just sympathy.
Mm.
But
Yeah, no, definitely.
we shouldn't be instructing and talking like this. We got things to do. We got some other things to do.
No, I mean, I think that yeah, it's definitely like, in this kind of industry, in the entertainment industry. We
We got other
definitely,
things to
yeah.
do.
People definitely have like a, glorified image of it. So but I think the point of what we want to do with Aitai Chat, with not just you, John, but like moving forward, we want to really give people like a in-depth, interesting perspective from people who work in this industry, in the entertainment
Hmm.
industry, in video games, in in anime merchandise, for example. Like just really give people a back end view of how things go within the industry. I mean, like lots of different podcasts and streams. They talk about like the content itself. They talk about the game itself. Like oh
Mm-hmm.
what did you feel like when you were doing this in this game or whatever, or like oh what do you think about this theory about this game or whatever. But for us, that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is actually give a new perspective of how the people who worked on the game or worked on the media or worked doing like e-commerce or whatever, like how it actually works.
Yeah,
And I
how it
think that's
functions.
how it functions. And I think that's not something that's even really talked about much on social media or
No.
covered in journalism at all. So I mean, of course, like there are articles and stuff, but like I think having a firsthand experience and like having an insider perspective of these things create very good anecdotes, right, for people who are fans of the media that is produced from these people. So that's kind of like our goal.
Yeah, I think Aitai is going deep. Instead of doing the surface level stuff, the stuff that we kind of already know, I try to do that in every interview I have. Let's go deep. Let's talk about something that people can relate to, not just something that's ear candy. You know what I mean? Let's go deep.
Yeah.
Let's figure,
Right.
let's just figure out the deepest stuff.
But I did notice just now, John, that you were holding something. So like,
Oh,
Yeah.
just
thank
saying
you.
we have things to do. That's all.
Yeah,
No,
no,
but
actually,
thank you for making those teaser videos throughout the week.
Oh, of course. I'm so
I love
excited.
them. So I guess
I saved opening that box until we were able to do this. Now, you got to understand the toll that took on me. Because
been
what's in
weeks,
that
right?
box,
You got
I
it for
really
weeks.
want.
So then
I've had it for a month and a half almost.
Yeah, no, it's been a while. So I guess like everyone who's waiting in the chat, like show us what's in the box.
for sure.
Okay, so the minute I got to me, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris. Were you about to say something?
Oh no, I was going to say before we get into that, because there was actually a lot of amazing people who have been.
Oh yeah, we got to answer questions.
Answer questions, right?
Oh no, it's
People
all good.
wanna
Like,
know
most of them have been leaving comments, but like I wanted to give a big thank you to like people like Josh Kim 910 who gifted 10 subs to the community, as well as Krabe gifted
Januzzi.
5 subs, and then there's like many people that have been gifting left and right. And I just want to make sure that
Januzzi as well for gifting
Januzzi,
15
exactly,
subs. Holy
gifted
crap!
so many.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Zyru. Thank you,
like,
Zyru, for tuning in as usual. Thank you so much. I hope it was
exactly.
informative.
So I just wanted to make sure that those people, gave, their, give a shout out to them. So we really appreciate it.
I got some shouts out.
Everyone who followed and subscribed, thank you so much, guys. You guys are awesome.
How about a shout out to Shingo on the real?
My dad.
I don't know if you're still awake, Pops, but we love you and we are praying for you. And I hope to meet you one day. So straight up shouts out to Shingo. Got to.
Yeah, Harada's dad.
That's my friend's dad. That's my friend's dad.
Watching.
And then we got to give a shout out to a big group, right? Is it Unaliska?
Oh yeah, Unaleska who came with the raid. Thank you, Unaleska, for tuning in.
Yeah. Thank y'all, man. I heard about you before we even started the podcast and forgot to give you a shout out. So shout out.
Is there any questions?
Of course, Kupakan, who got us together.
There's a lot of comments, like for example, like Mechanical Queen. So like everything John, is saying is like wholesome AF. So there's a lot of that.
Wholesome as.
And then Shinigami 091 said, when are you going to finish your original play through with Brianna White?
I don't know, man. Listen, when the pandemic hit, it's kind of like folks had agendas and some of us have, family members that we can't afford to get sick,
right.
So we have to be very cautious. So
right.
hopefully we'll be able to do it. Breezy has been doing so many other things though. I'm like, she's been playing stuff and getting consoles. I'm like, man, I'm going to sneak over to your house. But no, I don't know when we'll be able to do it again. Hopefully soon. I don't know if we'll be able to finish that bad boy. In case you haven't noticed, it's long.
Oh, and then actually another question from Jitters is like, will John be back for future episodes of this chat? And the answer is, well, I'll let Audrey answer that
Oh
actually.
Yes,
yeah,
Audrey, you answer that.
yes, definitely. So right now, for Aitai Chat, we have 2 more episodes planned with John Bentley, and the next 2 episodes are going to be like really delving into voice acting and especially Final Fantasy VII Remake. So what I do, I'm sure people who follow me for on Twitter know that like I translate a lot of stuff from Final Fantasy VII or things I'm interested in general. And what I'm very curious about is specific lines that Barret says. Like, I mean, I understand it in Japanese as well when I'm playing in both Japanese and when I'm playing in English, and I'm just kind of curious, like, for specific scenes, how was the direction given to you for those scenes? Because like in Japanese they say this, for example, and then in English you said it in this way. So like, how was what was the thought process and the recording process to interpret that scene in Japanese into its localized language in English? So that would be a very interesting, I think, episode where we would kind of delve deep into the FF7 remake, Barrett's clips, and just talking a little bit more about the media itself instead of today, which was more like a general, getting to know me, getting to know John, getting to
Getting
know
to
Harada.
know you,
Yes,
getting to
getting to
know
know.
all about you.
Yes,
Yeah, seriously. No, Audrey's
exactly.
about to like, y'all don't understand. Audrey doesn't, she may look like this little happy, smiling CEO, which you never know she's a CEO because she's the bomb. But she is, we're about to go deep with this. For her to say, hey, look, what were you thinking here? Because the Japanese version says this. And you said, I mean, that's insight that I don't think anybody has other than me in the booth with the translators.
Right,
So
right,
you're about
right.
to get into some serious stuff. So who asked that question? That was a brilliant question.
Oh, GG
Oh,
Ters.
GG Turds! You'll
Yes, and
find
then
out later. Gotta
episode
tune in.
3, yeah, so that will be kind of episode 2, and episode 3 might be some actual, like, re-recording some
Might
lines.
be. I'm about to get directed by Chris
Harada.
Harada.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
about to get directed. I'm about to, you're going to see a live booth session.
Yeah.
But I'm not supposed to say all that. You'll have to wait.
Yeah, to give a little background, I guess, because I haven't said too much
The box.
about me. Like, I'm right now no longer working in development, but I was previously casting a few voices for characters in certain games, and also a animation that's not yet announced. So like that's what we're going to piggyback off of. But my new company that I'm joining as an online, as a director of online engagement, will be announced on Monday. So, and we'll probably talk more about it. So.
Michael Trip 30 says, "Are you guys
All
doing
right.
this once a week?" We haven't decided
It's
the
in
exact
process.
schedule, but yeah, it like voice actors.
It won't be a long gap.
Yeah, it won't be a long gap, but of course, voice actors, actresses, your schedules are just given to you like sometimes the day before, right? So we have to, of course, kind of take that into put that into consideration. But we will definitely let everyone know when we decide on the next scheduled episode 2 of Aitai Chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
For sure. And I promise you, I will make my schedule work so that it is not long. And the three of us are very good at coordinating because I'm
sure.
learning how to do all this stuff through both of them.
And then I guess
Discord
like
and
what
all
we
that.
might do later on, because there's a few lists of a few people I've worked with along in the past. One being at like a former animator at Blizzard who worked on the Blizzard cinematics. He worked on the Genji versus Hanzo scene and stuff. He's actually from Japan, so he's interested in possibly being a guest. So maybe episode 4 or something like that, as well as people who worked on. Actually, the lead designer for Final Fantasy 15, he's no longer with Square Enix, so like he's allowed, so he might be joining on, and he's worked at Square Enix Japan, so well, a little bit of stuff. We're gonna have many guests, hopefully. So that's
It's
all.
gonna be a good thing. Any other questions or anything that we should address before we?
I guess the only other question, well, I mean that Blitz actually asked, which was pretty fun, but is like, have you had a chance to actually play through Remake?
Oh yeah, I just can't get past. I haven't. So here's the deal. Everybody asks me this. So Darren, who is just a great guy, he does Rusty Rupee. A whole group, they're like, "Yo, John, you need to play this. Yo, John, you need to check this out. Yo, John, check this out." So I started Final Fantasy as soon as I got it, I'm like, all right, cool. I am at the train station after the first reactor. And then my son came and said, Dad, you really got to check out Red Dead Redemption because you haven't played it and your game is still on my computer and I don't want to erase it. So I started playing Red Dead. And then Darren and Rusty Rupee, they're like, yo, man, you need to check out Persona. I'm like, I am not playing Persona. And then one of the other fellows was like, no, you really need to check out Ghost of
Tsushima.
How do you say Tsushima? And I'm like, and I got hooked. I got hooked. But the whole while, I'm sitting here trying to get past what's the Japanese game? The something 6. Starts with a K. Why can't I think straight now? The gang.
6?
Is it not Kayuza? Is it Kayuza?
Yakuza 7?
Yakuza. I'm all jacked up. Yakuza. No, I went all the way back to 0, Audrey. Because I'm like, what is this game about? And it was cheaper, right?
I
So I'm like, okay, I'll put 0 down because there's some stuff in there that's kind of like what we were talking about. It's like, oh, y'all don't have no regard for women. So I was like, all right. I was like, how did I walk into this dude that's flashing? And anyway, so then I got Yakuza 6, and I'm like, I picked that up. I should have never started. You know, I finished Ghost, and now I'm trying to get back to Final Fantasy, but Darren told me to play Persona 5.
That will take forever.
And I am hooked. I didn't know that. I'm like, okay, I got through the castle. I'm in the castle. He's like, which one?
Which one?
Which one?
There's like a million.
And I didn't know that. I'm thinking I'm helping a little girl who the volleyball coach was doing. Man, I'm like, that's the beginning. So
yeah.
To answer your question, I'm working on it.
I mean, it's all good. I also like, start a lot of games at the same time, and I'm like, oh crap, I just like leave them in hiatus.
I'm so bad. It's just like I'm a dad of 4, and my wife is asking me to do stuff, and the weather is getting better here, and I'll probably start kayaking again soon. It's like I don't play like I used to be able to play. And here's a story. When we first met, I was playing a game called Bass and Black Bass. And Michelle and I moved in together right before we were getting married. I don't advise that, but we moved in together. And she came home from work one day, and I'm playing Bass and Black Bass. It was for the Super Nintendo. And I'm having a good old time because my dad used to take me fishing. I hadn't seen my dad in a long time. I miss fishing. I hadn't been fishing. I'm playing this game, and I'm like, oh, 12 pounders. This is great. Playing. She comes in. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm playing the game. She's like, all right, I'm going to bed. I'm tired. She had a long day of work. And that was when I was doing theater. So theater, you're up late. But that was my hiatus day. It was a Monday. So I'm playing. Michelle comes out. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm playing Bass and Black Bass. How much you think this one weighs? And, the controller went And so she's like, I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm going to work. I went, what?
Like,
she said, I'm going to work. I'm like, I played the game all night. I didn't even realize it. Felt like doo-doo on a stick.
And it's a fishing game.
It's a fishing game.
No, but I totally
I
relate.
like,
I totally relate. Actually, FF15. So I spent, I don't even know, maybe 50 hours. I maybe spent 50 to 60 hours just fishing, literally. Like I didn't even progress through. So my friends are like my friends always know me as like the person who's obsessed with fishing in any kind of game that has fishing. Like it's like a mini game.
I just found out Yakuza did too. Yakuza's got it.
Oh shit!
I'm like, dang, I'm in the river fishing. It's like, oh.
I can totally relate. Yeah, totally relate.
I just love fish. Like, in California, they're like man-made lakes. It's not like, in Michigan and Chicago and Illinois, and you go and fish and you got to get in the brush and you got to use a certain lure. And so I'm all into it. So
yeah.
We just totally diverted.
Totally
all right, am I supposed to open now? Can I open now?
Yes. Let's open it up. Show everyone what it is. Show everyone what it is.
Okay, so this box was sent to me. When we first met, I was like, Audrey, look, I don't care what we do later, but there's this certain, I saw this online. I can't find it anywhere in the States. I've gone all over and I've looked for stuff. And I said, where can I find? She said, oh, my store sells those. And Alex Main was the one who told me about it. He's like, look at this set I got. So I'm opening it up in front of everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Shout out to KupoCon.
Yep.
KupoCon! And the whole gang. All right. So, feel like a kid on Christmas.
Nice. A little flyer.
Oh, you don't understand. Oh, there's stuff in here I didn't know was in here. Okay. I'm gonna set the box up for this.
Okay.
This is kind of cool. I gotta do it this way.
Okay.
All right, so you guys can actually see. This is just cool. She packaged it so well.
Oh yeah, it was my staff who probably did it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh! I gotta take them out of the packages.
Oh yeah, I think they all come in the individually wrapped or something like that.
Okay, cool. I got stickers. I'm showing off the stickers. Can you see the stickers?
Oh, cute. Yeah.
Okay. And I got a little.
Oh, it's a
Space
coaster.
Mountain.
Yeah, a little coaster.
Look at that. Woo! You see that little hologram? Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Oh yeah, there was like a little postcard that came with some stuff for the Square
That's
Enix
really
5
cool.
Remake Orchestra World Tour.
I don't know what this is. You know what this is?
I can't see.
You can
the
tell me as I
front.
open it.
Oh
Damn.
yeah, it's a little bonus that came with the game if you ordered it from a certain place in Japan.
Wow.
It's a little like
I've never
cloud
seen this.
acrylic. Yeah, it's pretty rare, I think.
Oh my gosh. This is cool. 'Cause I didn't expect any of that. This is what I ordered. And I'm thrilled. And I'm excited. Hold on. I know it's taking longer than we thought. Hold on.
No. Take your time.
I gotta take them out of the package though, because I can't put them the way they're supposed to be put.
Oh, they
Come on,
probably
Cody.
packaged it really well.
Very well. There's Cody.
Cody.
Oh, Cody.
Can you see it?
Oh, it's so cute.
Hold on, let me give him something to lean. My box is all crooked. They stand up, y'all. My box is all crooked. I messed my box up getting so excited. He's standing on a cloud. There.
Oh, there you go.
I don't even know if I should put this dude by him, but I'm going to.
Is it Seth?
Dun-dun.
Yeah.
Can y'all see Seth? Oh! I don't even know. Whoa! Hold on.
Oh, it's Reno. It's my favorite character.
All the girls love him. I think it's because of his hair. Rihanna.
But of course.
Oh. Seth was the first one to fall.
No.
Oh, there's an avalanche.
All right, let me just do this. I won't stack them all up.
You can just show them
For the
into
sake
the
of
camera
time.
later.
Yes. Here's my girl.
Oh, Tifa. So cute.
See Tifa? Have you seen some of the Tifa cosplayers? Oh my
yeah.
God, they're killing it right now.
Oh, yeah. Seriously.
My favorite character. Oh, he came in a little box.
Oh, yeah, because his tail is very, fragile, so he comes in a very, wrapped box.
I'm glad you told me. I'm going to leave him in the box. I don't want his tail getting all jacked up.
It's Max.
Oh, Max Middleman.
Mm-hmm.
Max Middleman calling me fat.
What?
And then...
The best one.
I don't know what the hell you talking about. But I do know, ain't no getting off this train.
Yeah, you did it.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you,
No
Aitai
problem.
Chat.
No problem.
Thank you. I got the set. Oh, this is outstanding. This is so cool. Look at that hair.
Oh no, Aerith.
I'd be mad at anybody with hair that smooth. We can talk. I'm just playing with my stuff.
Oh no, I was just like, I'm afraid that they're gonna fall. It's like if you talk.
Only one is falling is Cloud. All right, there we go. All right, everybody, hold on.
Yay!
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's such a great set that Square Enix came out with. Like truly,
Can't find it anywhere.
Truly
here.
Amazing. Oh really?
Not all of these, not all of them.
Oh.
That's why when I was introduced to you, I was like, oh.
Actually, the funny thing is that
awesome.
Those items were sold as like individual sets. Like you can buy a set of the Polygon figurines abroad, but in Japan they were only available as Kuji. So you would have to buy them.
Wait a minute. From the Kuji that you were doing,
I was talking about.
You can actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
So how it worked was that the
I
Kuji
did not.
had...
We got to get out there, man.
Say the word, John. You and me. Let's just go.
We got a ticket, man. They won't let us in right now, I don't think.
Yeah, unfortunately. No, but the Kuji was like Cloud figurine, Aerith figurine, Sephiroth figurine, like actual big figurines, and then those
three
Polygon.
of them?
Yeah. Those Polygon figurines and like these really cool badges and like face towels and I think glass cups, but you can only buy it as a Kuji game, so you don't know what you will get. So you buy the ticket, you open up the ticket, and then it shows like, oh, you won the Cloud figurine or you won the little Polygon ones. So it was very, very interesting that they did that for the Japan side, but abroad they sold them in sets where you can choose what you want.
That's worth way more than $10 to me.
Oh yeah, it was. I think it was sold at around like 800 something yen or something, or 700
$8.
Yeah.
$8.
Yeah, so you could win a huge ass figurine, like a huge figurine, for $8.
We need to save some money.
Hey man, let's do a little fight.
Yeah, when it's
open. You won't be able to find out when you can go until Monday, so be quiet.
Oh, that is true. So.
Oh yeah. Right.
Thank you so much, Audrey.
No problem. No problem. No,
and
but
thank all your workers for packaging it so smooth and well too. I'll get to meet them.
Definitely let them know. Yeah, when you're in Japan, when you're in Tokyo, definitely come visit us in our office in our warehouse. We'll be more than happy to give you a tour.
I was all excited about just Barret, but I'm like, I got all of them. This is just cool. I feel like a little
That's
kid.
awesome. I'm glad to hear that you enjoy these. So
yeah, take a screenshot.
And these are actually the ones that we're going to be raffling too as well. Oh, screenshot.
Oh yeah.
Let's screenshot.
Oh yeah, let's do a screenshot. Let's do a screenshot.
Please.
Okay, cool. I took one. I'll send it to you later.
Oh, that's just awesome.
Yeah, so I guess Hada, if you want to talk about the raffle, since people have been waiting for it as well, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, like I believe Bass and Claudia in the chat have been giving instructions on how to like enter in the raffle. But yeah, like
thank you all again.
Obviously, that's been mentioned in like obviously in our banner, like that's right around here. So these figurines, we're going to be raffling them off to you all. So again, Bass is going to be mentioning right in the chat. So just pay attention, and we're going to basically raffle it off right now. So
okay, cool. How many minutes should we set it for?
Let's ask Barret. How many minutes, Captain?
How many minutes do you want?
How many minutes? What is it? How is it working now?
For the raffle. For us to select the.
Basically, we will start a raffle for the Cloud, Aerith, Tifa, and Barret figurine, Polygon figurine. So there's a set amount of time that people have to be able to enter the raffle. So they would enter it by doing it in the chat with the exclamation mark raffle, and then we have a duration of either 5 to 10 minutes. So how long would you like the raffle to be open for? And then
everyone's
is it just one set that you're doing?
Yeah.
5 minutes. Don't make everybody wait.
Okay.
Everyone's saying 7 minutes though.
Oh yeah, we should do 7. Yeah, true. We should do 7.
Oh, that's cool. Let's do 7.
Yeah. Okay.
If everybody says do 7, do 7.
You gotta listen.
All right, we're starting it. Starting it now. Okay. Wait.
That's just cool.
So now we have 7 minutes to talk. So.
Yeah.
Do we have any more questions?
Actually, I believe since you mentioned Tifa cosplay. Oh, did it start?
Did it start? Let me see. Okay, yeah. It shows they have received the tickets now. So we have 7 minutes. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So you mentioned Tifa cosplay. I believe that Leska actually cosplayed as Tifa as well. She's been.
That's cool.
Everything. So shout out to her and her cosplay as well. So.
Yeah,
cool.
cosplay is
I never realized how
hardcore.
big cosplaying was. I never realized what you're saying, Audrey. I never knew how big it was until I did KupoCon. And when
Oh.
we were in Vancouver, that was my first big convention. I did another convention where we did a panel for Tiger and Bunny, but I didn't get to really interact with the people. We were just on stage and
Mm-mm-mm.
talking and answering questions. But KupoCon, I got to like be in the audience and talk to people, and I'm a fanboy, so like I don't, like I said, I don't like all the attention on me. I like to hang out and talk and everything else. But I never realized like it's a big deal. I mean, there's some
Mm-hmm.
serious costumes. One of my dudes who I found out was just like cool, dressed as oh no,
Avalanche.
dressed as red, and I was just
Very
like, oh,
funny.
fascinated. Just it was crazy. And then his wife dressed as another character. I guess I shouldn't say that because everybody now will know who they are. But anyway, some of the cosplayers, oh, they were just unbelievable, man. And
Yeah.
then we went when I was in London, it got even more extravagant. And then in Vancouver. Vancouver was one. Toronto. Toronto, they were like for real, for real. I met like so many cool Barretts. I was like, oh, there's black Barretts. It was just, it's just cool.
That's
So I
awesome.
forgot we were somewhere in a ballroom and two two folks came dressed in cosplay, and I could not stop looking at them
Mm.
because they had the eyes. They were this royal blue, blonde hair. I couldn't tell if it was real hair or a wig. Stunning. And I'm just like, and people are asking me questions, and I'm just like, hold on a minute. Like trying to figure out how they did it. Unbelievable.
That's
Unbelievable stuff.
awesome. That's awesome. Wow. I mean, I'm just kind of curious, but like, what is your favorite Final Fantasy? Have you played a lot of them, or?
Well, I love 7 because, like I said, that was the first one.
Right.
But you're going to like this 15, man. 15, because, it's just like, there's some good stuff in there. Plus,
You just knocked me out.
plus, plus Liam. That's my dude, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Liam's in
Kingsglaive.
it, and
Kingsglaive.
Kingsley.
Enemies and
Yeah,
comrades.
just like, oh. So those two were stunning to me. But then I'll tell you what, we were at one event. I think it was in Vancouver the first time I went. And this guy came and said, hey, I really liked you in this game. And I'm like, what? And then they're like, you were in this game and you played this character. I'm like, really? What? Because sometimes we'll get the job and the job won't say what the game is. It'll have a
Mm.
code name so everybody's not trying to figure it out or
Mm-mm.
Yep, exactly.
and I realized it was Kingdom Hearts. They're
Oh.
like, well, you've already done Final Fantasy stuff. I'm like, no. You've already worked for Square Enix. I'm like, no. And he's like, this is you. And he pulled up his phone and he pulled the camera. I was like, yeah, I did that character. They're like, Kingdom Hearts. I'm like, oh.
You were in Kingdom Hearts?
And I felt like such a heel, but he was like, no, dude, I follow what you do. And I'm like, cool, because I don't. I just do the jobs and my kids and my wife get to eat.
Wait, wait.
So I was like, oh.
John, you were in Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which character?
I couldn't tell you the character to this day. I couldn't tell you. He pulled it up and I'm like, yeah, I did that. Because I saw the visual, right? I never knew the name.
What
Yeah,
does
because
the
that's how they
character
usually
look
do
like?
it, though. They show you the because like it's still in development or whatever, but they'll tell you maybe a brief their mood or whatever, like a brief synopsis of the characters.
Yeah,
We'll get into it in the next
exactly.
episode or so.
Oh, yeah.
How to break it.
Hey, I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell people because I'm horrible at it and I never want to get it wrong because folks and fans will call you out on it until you are blue in the face. Look it up online and it'll tell you like which character I did. And there's a lot of stuff that I actually did that is not online. You know how you can go to behind the voice actors and see stuff? There's stuff I'm like, man, I did this, and this. How come that? And I'm like, I'm good. Everybody doesn't need to know all that.
What? I did not
Yeah.
know that. Oh, behind the voice actors. I just Googled it.
Because it's all about like credits and stuff. There's also like the game industry has something like that too. And I have like because I have 3 names, I have 3 different accounts. So when people are like literally they try to call me out on whatever because like you weren't on them, I'm like, no, look at this. And they're like,
Oh,
okay.
you were. Yeah.
And
I
like,
don't do it
really care.
anymore.
I don't care about credits at all. But some people that's how you validate. Just look at my LinkedIn or whatever.
See, that's why I'm like, look at the IMDb. Then you'll
Yeah.
see on camera. The only thing I think they don't have is commercials, and you have to like search for those. But
Uh,
it's very funny. Audrey, does it say the character on
it
there,
says
or does it just
additional
say?
voices.
Yeah, I have no clue then what it
Which
is.
I mean,
Like
what
we
does the
did.
character look like?
I think he had blonde hair and was
So
muscular.
2/3 of them. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Right?
true.
True. True. Blonde, spiky hair, like this dude down here. You know, that's
Never heard
2/3 of
blonde,
them.
spiky hair.
I can't remember. I don't know if his hair was spiky or not. I can't remember. I
Blonde
really
hair.
can't. I don't know if I was a pirate. I don't remember what I was. I
Oh,
did a lot of
wow.
stuff. Done a lot of stuff. I just don't rember like
That's
everything because
awesome.
it's like I told you, when it's time to work, go to work.
You just gotta work.
Someone was
Yeah.
like, "Hey man, I didn't know you were in." What did they tell me? You were Four Tails, and I can't remember the name of the project now. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I was Four Tails." But then I was like, "Yeah, but I was also the narrator." So it's like I'm excited about stuff like that. My
You
That's
were
son
in
just gives
awesome.
some of the Halo games though too, right? Some of the Halo games.
I think the first or the second one we
Yeah.
did Halo.
Oh, 20
But
seconds, guys.
my son, 20 seconds.
No, but it's okay.
My
Go,
son
yeah.
came up to me and said, Dad, my girlfriend just saw you in Baki. I'm like, "Who was I in Baki?" So I was like, all right, just smile
Oh
and go,
my
yeah, you
gosh.
got to eat that week.
Oh, the Netflix anime, right, Baki?
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
That was
All
all
right.
right. 10
So I
seconds,
think
8 seconds, 9 seconds. We there?
I think the timer ran out. So now, thank you everyone for entering the giveaway. So we're going to pick
We
the
need
winner.
a drum roll.
All right, I'm gonna click the pick the winner button, and the winner is Inconsistent Gamer.
Congratulations, inconsistent gamer. You
Did it
sound
show?
like me, being inconsistent, playing the doggone game when I can.
Did it show?
Congratulations,
Complete the
baby.
giveaway.
Congratulations.
Congratulations! Yay!
Can you
So-
see your reaction or anything? Are they excited?
Oh, they're
yeah,
saying thanks.
yeah.
Oh,
Thanks, guys, for
maybe
entering
we
our
can get
giveaway.
together and play with our action figures one day.
So Inconsistent Gamer, if you can please message me like on Twitter or on Twitch with your info, and then we can get you the set of these FF7 polygon figurines. I guess we would
cool.
mail it out on Monday. Thank you guys so much.
And you'll actually get it in the country that you're in.
Oh yeah.
Ding. We don't know
Awesome.
that though yet, right? We don't know.
Oh, actually, yeah. That's Natty. That's actually a friend of mine. Sorry, that's
Get
not
out.
big.
Are
I know
you
that name.
serious?
Yeah, and they actually helped out Ray Chase. They helped out Ray Chase
What?
with their streaming and stuff before when they were first starting out. So, like, little brief history is like she and her, fiance, they went down to LA with me so that we could help Ray, Robbie, and Max, like, with their whole
Wow.
stream when they're first starting out with like Lava,
Wow.
like back in 2016. So,
That's cool.
yeah,
See
that was
what happens? That's what I mean by helping people.
good vibes.
See
This
how
was
that
not rigged.
works?
Yeah, I was just like, oh, I know that name.
Chris, this was not rigged.
Yeah, this was not rigged.
This was not rigged. I love it, man.
That's awesome.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, but yeah, definitely message me either on Twitter or Twitch, and we can get you these figurines. So thanks, guys, for entering our raffle today.
I love Aitai.
No. Thank you, John, for being our first guest on Aitai Chat. I hope those who watched in the chat, who tuned in today learned something about the voice acting industry. And today was only a surface value, surface look of the content, of what we will be providing. And the next episode, like I mentioned, would really delve into Final Fantasy VII Remake's different scenes and the differences between Japanese and English translations. And I think a lot of people might be very intrigued with how the recording process worked exactly. So I hope everyone tunes into the following episodes with John as well, and I hope you guys had fun today. And thank you, John, for thank you, John, for taking time out of your really busy schedule to speak with us today.
All good. This is fun, and thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your company. Adada, thank you for everything. I can't wait to see what we get to collaborate on in the next 2 episodes.
Definitely.
And I guess Harada, do you want to just like close it up?
Yeah. So basically, yeah, as pretty much Audrey said, everything is that we're gonna. Obviously, this is the first of hopefully many episodes. And as previously mentioned, even in like episode 4 and 5, there might be actual other guests that might join with us three, so that way we can collaborate either from formerly Blizzard or even Pixar and stuff like that. So we're talking to some people, even like former Square Enix developers who were leads on certain games. So it'll be fun. So definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, thank you so very much. Really appreciate you all for tuning in and just joining us and hearing us all talk. So
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, and if
thank
you
Hope
you.
you
guys,
have
of course,
fun.
yeah, if you
See you
guys
soon.
want to follow John and Harada, John Eric Bentley on Twitter, Harada CH on Twitter, and of course me,
Yes.
I'm Aitai Kimochi. And thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and I hope you are excited for the next episodes, and hope Aitai Chat brings very interesting information about the industries to people who are interested in hearing about it. So thank you guys so much.
Definitely.
Got it.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye bye.